everyone, and welcome to the 29th episode of the Poorly Planned podcast. I'm sure you can already hear Freddy chewing. It's incredibly annoying.
We're back.
We're very much back. So, by the way, before I forget, no, wait, I haven't done this in so long.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, my name is Benedict.
Never mind.
You probably know me better as BHL Hudson. We talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. With me, as always, is my friend, co-host, and post-summer Maldives buddy.
And post-friend.
Frederick.
Oh,
we are back.
It is. We've never been backer. It is so good to be back.
And just so you know, there are time codes in the description to everything we talk about. I don't know why I just did a now number 5 kind of finger movement.
Oh, that's a good reference.
Dude, I have so much Brooklyn Nine-Nine to talk about.
You have to put that in the video now.
Definitely not.
On loop, just.
So we're back with an up-to-date pod.
Don't know why I just did a number 5.
Worse than ever. The past, I guess, month and a half, we've been doing some pre-recorded pods that we did for the summer. I hope you guys enjoyed those. The response so far has been pretty great. We'll talk about that later.
It's been pretty negative, and
we need to really make a comeback here.
This is our final shot.
The couples retreat and Baby Driver Venom Fred watches. We'll talk about those later, but those were very well received. So yeah, we're very much back in a big way for the pod.
Oh, it feels good.
It feels right.
Mr. Right?
Suddenly it doesn't.
Suddenly you should leave.
So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do what like we did last year, if you remember, which you probably don't, because that was
because we always get new fans.
Often. We're gonna do a recap of all the stuff we watched over the summer. Basically, a whole episode of mini reviews. So that's movies that came out in cinemas and also just stuff we watched, at home. And also, I'm thinking we hit a little bit of that news. Not all the news, because that would be impossible, but just the major stories that I thought we could have something to say about.
Tasty.
And
tasty BHL.
Thank you. And then we have some announcements at the end.
We do.
Because we've missed out on a whole month of fans, just praising us. So we'll have to get to that. And finally, I want to say, and this is a new kind of addition to the pod, I want to say upfront, spoilers for all the things we mentioned.
Oh my god, it only took us 29 episodes to get to
to remember to do this. Because we often spoil stuff, like pretty much always when we talk about a movie or whatever, we say like spoilers halfway through, or maybe we forget or something, I have to edit in a spoiler warning.
It's a waste of our breath.
Exactly. So I'm just going to say now, for all the things that are, time coded in the description, we're talking spoilers. So we can just... we can just be ourselves, We don't have to hold anything back.
Dude, I just want to talk about Rampage.
So yeah, spoiler alert for everything we talk about. So, without further ado, spoilers for everything, let's get into it. Did I make the spoiler thing clear? Because a lot of times people complain. Everything we talk about, when we start a new topic...
Sue us!
When we start a new topic, talk about a new show, movie, we are talking spoilers for that thing. If you haven't seen it, skip ahead. Okay, that's as clear as I can make it. All right.
If you didn't get this, you're an imbecile.
Also, little edit note here. In addition to that giant spoiler warning for everything, I just want it to be known that this was recorded... Wait, hold on. I somehow don't have the date in front of me. This was recorded on the 18th of August, and I've just been really slow to edit it because I've been busy, because school started, and we'll talk about that in the next episode. But anyway, so this was recorded on the 18th of August, so if some of our stuff is a little, some of the information or something we say seems a little outdated, or like some new information came out, that's why. Alright, enjoy the show. So first up, Luke Cage.
Dab.
Oh, we'll get to... Dude, I have so much to talk about.
Dude, I have so much to dab on.
So, you haven't seen it, have you?
So, you're unqualified to be here. I have not seen it, no.
Have you given up on the Marvel Netflix shows?
No.
Well, yeah, you haven't seen... I guess you stopped watching Iron Fist.
Yeah.
There was a new trailer recently that was pretty... Do you remember his friend in Iron Fist? Davos? Not Game of Thrones Davos.
What Davos then?
The Iron Fist Davos. Well, anyway, he has an Iron Fist now. And so it's like Iron Fist versus Iron Fist, but it's red. So anyway.
But I thought Davos was his friend.
Yeah, but they became enemies.
Did they?
Yeah, dude.
Oh my god.
Anyway, Luke Cage Season 2. By the way, I just want to say about all of these may be kind of longer and more in-detail reviews than we usually do, but I realized, for me at least, I always enjoy it more when on the podcasts. Hours specifically, I listen to it daily.
It's the only way I can sleep. The sound of my own voice. It's so soothing.
But I always find it more entertaining when people talk, like, you know, for longer periods. And even with us, like, when we talked about, like, Murder on the Orient Express or Justice League or something.
We got into it.
Yeah, we got, like, 20 minutes in. But so...
That was incredible.
And sometimes we just, like, kind of speed round stuff. And, like, I find that less interesting. So anyway, we're going to try to do more kind of in-depth things. I've even started taking notes so it'll be more clean. You know how we do.
Dude, I don't. I hate these notes.
So anyway, Luke Cage season 2. I was pretty hyped for it. The first 3 episodes were really, really bad. I'm making a review currently. I have no idea when it'll be out. My YouTube schedule has been totally messed up lately. I haven't made a video in like 2 weeks. I'm working on this giant Transformers one. I don't know when it'll be out. After that, Luke Cage is coming.
That's what it says on Marky Moo's grave. Yo,
I'm working on a giant Transformers one. In the meantime, you get this. So the first 3 episodes I really didn't like. They were really tedious and boring and just like exposition filled and uninteresting. Like the worst of Marvel Netflix, basically, in 3 episodes. And then episode 4 to 12, with, you know, I mean, obviously the bad stuff has good moments and the good stuff has bad moments, but overall, 4 through 12 were amazing. Some of the best Marvel Netflix stuff.
What about the villain? Is he good?
Bushmaster
has the best name of any villain.
Is awesome. He's a really, really good villain. Is he like
Mahershala level?
I mean, it's very hard to be Mahershala level, but he's like, true. He's definitely above Diamondback. Yeah, he's above,
only Diamondback?
He's like, you know, above whoever...
Madame Gao?
Yes, he's above that. He's better than Sigourney Weaver and Defenders. Anyway, he's really, really good. He has an interesting motivation. He's a fun character. I love that. Yeah, 4 through 12 were just very interesting, very engaging, very fun. Not... I mean, Luke Cage is more fun than the other Marvel Netflix shows.
It is?
Like, compared to Daredevil, it's more like... Yeah, I love those episodes. If the whole show had been like that, it might be my favorite season of Marvel Netflix. And then the finale was a bit disappointing. Now, spoilers, do you care if I spoil how it ends?
Go for it.
The whole season is building up to Luke Cage character arc, where he starts off and he's kind of, like, in the eyes of, you know, the city, and he has to become better and more humble and, like, realize that violence, that kind of stuff. He has to be like, you know, the hero he is at heart. He can't give in to the dark
popularity
side.
Oh,
well, and the popularity in a way, but
because is it like, oh, you haven't seen Rocky 3, have you?
No,
because like in that, can I spoil that? Because like he wins in the second one, he wins against Apollo Creed, right?
Right.
And then the fame like gets to his head. He gets like a brand new gym, and he just like takes pictures.
Yeah, well,
right?
it is part of that. Yeah, and like
and then he gets sloppy.
I did enjoy that aspect. It's more interesting where Luke is like a celebrity, because we don't really see that a lot with these Marvel Netflix shows. But then episode 13, the finale, where it's all been building to him becoming like a good hero, and like what's her name? Claire breaks up with him. They were together, and then she leaves for like the entire season, and then like you think it's gonna end, she's gonna come back, and then it turns out Luke in the end, Mariah dies.
Is that the cop?
No, she's Mahershala's sister.
Who
killed him. So
okay.
She's great, by the way. She's killed by her daughter, who's a big player in this.
And is the daughter a bad or a good character?
She starts out good, and then she becomes bad.
And then she kills... Oh my god.
Yeah, and then Luke is given Harlem's Paradise, the club, which is a huge part of it.
Oh.
And initially I was like, don't take it. Obviously don't take it. That's like completely against what you're supposed to do and what this is building to. And then initially he's like, burn it to the ground. And I was like, yes, Luke, you're back. But then I guess he was being sarcastic or he was joking or something, because then he actually takes over Harlem's Paradise and he like becomes the Cottonmouth Mariah character. And he...
Really? So he becomes a bad guy?
Sort of. I mean, he just... it's like completely against... And then like Rosario Dawson, Claire comes back and he's like, tell her to go away. And it's like, well, that's... It's just so disappointing to me, because...
So he becomes like... The Kingpin then.
Yeah, basically. And I don't know. I guess it's supposed to subvert expectations, but I kind of felt, yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but I kind of felt like cheated because I was so invested in this character arc for
Luke.
Well, like for 13 hours or Jim. For 12 hours, for 12 hours, I was like really invested in this character arc, and I wanted a good payoff. And then maybe the payoff comes in the next season or something. But for this itself, when it just ends like that, I was like, oh, that was kind of a disappointing end.
What about the cop with the metal arm now?
She's great. She's fantastic.
I
yeah.
really don't like her.
Really? She's awesome in this. There are new additions like Luke's dad, who's played by some famous actor's name I can't remember, who he passed away recently actually, but he's amazing. I want to look up his name because he's really good.
Luke Cage season 2 cast.
He was okay. The worst thing he's been in is Fantastic Four, the new one. So I'm sorry, that's not what he should be known for. But what's his name? This guy, Reggie Cathy. He's in House of Cards. He's in The Wire. He's in The Mask. Somebody stop me. He's amazing. He's really good, and he plays Luke's dad, and that character arc as well is really interesting.
Nice. What about your boy Shades?
He's so good.
Is he?
He's so. Yeah, there's so many. You should really watch it. Like, just start at episode 4 because that's when it picks up.
Okay.
But he's amazing, and him and Mariah have an interesting dynamic, and him and Comanche have a. I don't want to spoil too much.
Who's that again?
It's you gotta watch it, man.
Okay.
Now, finally, I want to say, the dab. Now, in episode 1...
A moment of silence, please.
Luke Cage is being followed around by his buddy. I can't remember his name, but he's, like, filming him, making t-shirts, and being, like, his hype man and his merchandise man.
Selling some Luke merch.
Yeah, and Luke isn't really... He's like, whatever, just don't get in my way. And then this guy tries to kill Luke Cage or whatever, and then...
He gets it on camera or what?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I got it. And then Luke goes up to the camera to give, like, a speech to the people of Harlem, because he's like, all right, I'm sick of this. And he's like, you want to test me? Step up. I am Harlem, and Harlem is me. And I was like, that's a good moment. And then he hits that dab. And it was just... I sent you a Snapchat of it.
Oh, you did. When it was happening, you were like, what is this?
It was the worst. And I was like, why would you... Because, like, the dab was cool 3 years ago, maybe. And now it's been ruined by Jake Paul doing it. Hillary Clinton dabbed. That's how you know a meme is dead, when a presidential candidate does it.
Yeah.
It's the what are those moment from Black Panther. It was just cringe.
But just much worse.
And now I would like to read you, actually, Luke Cage himself, Mike Coulter, made a video on Twitter addressing the dab.
All right,
and if you could just enjoy this. I thought it was a great video. Hey boys and girls, I wanted to address the proverbial elephant in the room. The dab from episode 1 of Luke Cage season 2. Okay guys, I think a lot of people got it right, and some people just got it wrong. They're completely misconstruing it. It was supposed to be done wrong. It was supposed to be a cringe moment. It was supposed to be a moment of, why is he doing that? A what the fuck moment. A moment...
Coulter was fired.
A moment out of... Oh god.
The Coulter.
Sorry, the mic just almost died. A moment out of character for Luke Cage, out of context. It was supposed to be all these things. What it was not supposed to be taken was seriously. It was a moment where Luke is in front of a camera, the era we're in, the millennials, the Instagram moments, the world star moments, doing something, trying too hard, doing too much. So that was the commentary on his headspace, and it made sense because Bushmaster then did the Usain Bolt pose on him when he knocked him out. So all this stuff made sense. So I'm sorry if I offended. Please call the dab police off. We won't do it again. But if you didn't watch season 2 because of the dab, you're missing out on a really good season. Okay? On that note, we out. And then I transcripted it here. Pretends to almost dab. Ha ha ha. Just messing with you. So that was I'm glad he addressed it. I'm glad they cleared that up.
So Bushmaster does like the lightning thing, but it's like, whoa.
Look, I'll be honest. I don't remember him doing that, but apparently he did.
I'll be honest. Bushmaster's really... He's a fog in my memory.
So yeah, no, Luke Cage season 2, overall, great, with some bad stuff. Then Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh my god, I'm so happy you're watching
I am loving it so much.
It's so good. I rewatched it.
It's almost in that Office level, you know?
I'd say beyond that Office level. Oh, wait, before you say this, horrible thing. I was just perusing YouTube, right, and I see best pranks, and I go on, and then it was just a compilation of The Office pranks.
Yes! How Bookface!
It wasn't Bookface. I just saw fucking Dwight being like, why is there a wire in my computer?
Yes!
Then he follows the wire.
And he climbs up the telephone pole. It's so good. And Halber's like, I made it up there. And then does a Jim face. It's so good. I love it so much. But Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You can see, actually, it's been so long since I started writing these notes because I wrote this season 2 ending, and now I'm halfway through season 4. Dude, it just... people always say this about, like... My cousin told me this about The Office when I started it, and you told me this about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where you're like, oh, it just gets so much better and better.
It does.
Starting at season 1, I was like, this is great. Like, I don't really see how this can, like... in what way this will get better, but
it still somehow manages.
Yeah, season 4 is like the strongest. Every season just gets better and better. It's just
remind me again. What happens in season 4? Is that where they're
it starts where they're in Florida.
Yeah.
And then now they're back and they're on the night shift. I've just seen the vindication moment.
That is good.
And the bone thing with Captain Holt.
Oh yeah,
that's also great. Oh my! So yeah, it's incredibly addictive, binge-worthy. The characters. This is the same with The Office. Like it starts kind of, introducing the characters, and now at this point, like season 4, they've grown into their own. They're very distinct. It's hilarious. It's, I don't know. It's exactly like The Office. It's just the characters make it what it is. Like it's just, I love watching them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all the writing is so like sharp and funny. Like there's no jokes. I'm just consistently laughing.
They don't
out
fall
loud.
flat.
Yeah. Great comedy writing and improv. I'm assuming there's a little bit of improv, but I'm not sure on that.
Although Peralta isn't much of a comedian.
Just all the jokes land. And it also has genuine emotion in it where like
it does.
Which I didn't like the first 2 seasons. I was like, I'm really enjoying it's funny, but it was kind of missing that like what I feel like makes The Office so special is this mix of comedy and emotion. And this one, like when Jake and Amy get together and when is it? I think they're on a boat when he finally says I love you.
Oh.
I think it's after the Doug Judy thing.
Okay.
Like that, and like the stuff with Holt and like when Holt leaves in season 2 or something. That like actually, I don't know. It's very, very impressive.
It was a Patriots Day kind of thing.
I hate you so much. Yeah. I love it so much.
It is really, really good. And like, yeah, it's not something you have to sit and like really pay attention to either. It's just something you can have in the background, but just something like it's very easy to follow.
Can I tell you my Brooklyn Nine-Nine routine? How
sounds like your dance move.
So every day after I do my workout,
Oh, of course.
I come back.
Oh, that isn't the routine.
I come back, and then because after you do a workout, you want to have a little snack to eat, maybe a little protein.
So you munch on that Peralta.
So I have some snack, and then I put on Brooklyn Nine-Nine as kind of like my reward for the workout. It's perfect run time for a little cool down, little snack. And did I bring this up just to point out that I've been working out recently? Maybe, maybe not. We'll never know.
Yeah, you won't by looking at your body.
But anyway, I've also been keeping a list of Brooklyn Nine-Nine people who show up in The Office, just so I can tell you. So, the guy in The Office who ate the turtles, he's in it. He's the bartender in the earlier seasons. I don't know if he comes back.
Okay, yeah.
Val's boyfriend is a lawyer. Val's boyfriend from The Office, who's actually a great part of season 8, is a lawyer in it. Daryl from The Office is Doug Judy.
Oh, I love Doug Judy.
One of the commercial guys from The Office is Amy's boyfriend initially, Teddy.
Yeah?
He's in The Office. Helms makes an appearance as a idiotic post office guy. Oscar makes an appearance as a doctor, I believe. And Meredith makes an appearance as that cleaning lady. Moving on. Parks and Rec. I watched like one episode of it.
That's the discount Office.
It's it's not as good as The Office or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but then again, I haven't properly gotten into it. I'm still like in season 2. Ron Swanson, Aziz Ansari are both fantastic. Probably my favorite characters. It's the third or fourth Michael. I'm not sure how to say his last name, but I should figure it out because I love this guy.
Sure.
Michael Schur, I guess. Show he made The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, this, and something called like The Good Place or something like that. Which I haven't seen, but
because it's terrible.
But no, I have tremendous respect for this guy because he's made like my favorite comedy TV stuff. And I will say there are some formula. His shows do have a little bit of a formula, but it's a formula that works, so I don't have a problem with that. But yeah, Parks and Rec, I'm sure it's great. I just haven't really. I prefer The Office and Brooklyn Nine-Nine at the moment. Now you.
We have to do this every pod. I've been watching a lot of that Elementary, and by God, is it good. Like, the new episode... DHL text the ladies. Get me out of here. So...
Is it still going?
Yeah. There's new episodes every week. Genuinely so good.
Brett Dalton hasn't come back, has he?
No, he was only in one episode.
They wouldn't let him back on the set. He's too chiseled.
He stole too much. But yeah, I've said all I have to say about it.
You definitely
I rest my case. But yeah, it's still great.
I find that hard to believe. Now, I watched Pitch Perfect 3.
Oh.
Which is so bad.
It's not great, is it?
Okay, yeah, it's not terrible, but it's
some of the singing is pretty good, but otherwise...
Yeah, look, I like the songs, even though the ones with the instruments are not nearly as memorable as the actual a cappella ones. The cast is great, but...
Except there's no Jesse.
I loved Jesse in the
Me
first
too.
one. Why'd they get rid of Jesse? He was so good.
Jesse, yeah.
It's Transformers 3 syndrome, where like the first two movies it's setting
watching
up
too much Transformers.
exactly. In the first two movies, they set up Megan Fox as like the love of Shia LaBeouf's life, and then the third one they just get rid of her. Yeah, story wise, it doesn't work. But anyway, the movie is just too stupid.
The whole thing with Fat Amy's dad.
That is the worst.
It is so bad.
For the record, I've never really found Fat Amy to be that funny of a character. Like she was fine in the first one.
Yeah.
But
Second one, it's kind of overdone, and this one, it's just.
It's terrible. And then, look, I think she's a funny actress, but that character is, I do not find that amusing. If you just look at where the first film was, relatively more grounded and like actually had emotional moments. Now where it is now, it's just so stupid.
I liked the second one. It wasn't. Great.
I didn't really. I thought it was.
It wasn't great, but it was okay. Especially, I like the Snoop Dogg and Keegan-Michael Key.
Keegan-Michael Key is very good in that.
Yes.
But that's like the one thing I like about it. It's likable characters because of the likable actors, but not really because of like any writing. It feels like they had fun making it, and like everyone enjoyed making it, but it doesn't feel like they put a lot of effort into like, the script. Like, Bella's love interest is boring and unlikable, and they have no chemistry, which is kind of a joke in it, but also they spend a lot of time on it, so that I just find that confusing.
And DJ Khaled is so overused.
DJ Khaled also, by the way, I know he shows up later on, but in the first scene where they're there in like a hangar or something, he 100% was not there when they shot that, because the only time you see him is like they cut away to this one shot they have of him like talking to some people. He's never seen like with them in that scene, and I was like, DJ Khaled definitely wasn't on set that day. It's kind of hilarious. But yeah, the thing is, like, the end of the film, they make the worst subplot with the worst character the main focus of the film. Like, Fat Amy has an action scene, and the dad kidnaps...
Becca and her singing.
The dad kidnaps them and whatever.
Yeah,
and it's just
dumb.
like, why would you... That's not what people like about these movies.
No, not at all.
I really like the actor who plays the dad. He's... What's his name? Oh, I'm such a...
Really? I found him super annoying.
Well, in the movie, he's not great. But, like, in real life, like, in other stuff... He's the guy who goes, oh.
Oh, that guy.
John Lithgow. I love John Lithgow. But, yeah, no. It's...
I also didn't like, I know they're supposed to be unlikable in the movie, but, like, Evermoist.
Is that Ruby Roses?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the movie starts plot lines that just never really go anywhere. Like, they start this whole thing with Ruby Rose.
Where it's like, it's kind of like where, similar to the second one, where you think it's the same against, like, Das Sound Machine.
Oh yeah, do they just disappear though? Because Ruby Rose isn't like in the movie. Oh, you think it's gonna be like that?
You think in the beginning you think it's gonna be like that, right?
And then when she shows up at the end, like to like kind of come around, applaud their performance. And it's like, oh shit, she's in this. Like I totally forgot that she was in it.
Yeah.
The spy or whatever it is, like international crime aspect of the film should not be the focus.
How she like breaks into the boat and then they start singing to distract. It's just
I do like that song though. The
Toxic.
Oh yeah, like I thought that was like a good. Song, dude. Moving on.
Wait.
You're gonna tell me to wait when I'm about to talk about Tag.
Shit. Wait. A long time.
So Tag, we saw that was our
Tag.
We saw that as our last Woody, if people remember, before the summer.
Oh, people don't remember.
So what did you think of Tag in the end?
I really liked it.
I thought it was pretty good.
Pretty terrible.
It was
like, of course, we've seen better movies.
Yeah, definitely.
But but I liked it. I liked it's a long time since we watched it, so like I might be forgetting some things.
I have some very few notes here. The trailer kind of gives away the climax of the film, which is Helms running at the wedding.
Yeah.
Which is kind of annoying because like the whole film builds to that, and I was like, I already know what's gonna happen. I'm so not invested now that I know where the plot's going. But it was pretty fun. Like,
I'm not calling Elms.
It was pretty funny. It had some good jokes, and it had some decently heartfelt moments. Towards the end, some moments
like
of good.
Nick from New Girl saying, "I wish you had."
Oh, we'll talk about that. But overall, I think it's a pretty funny time with some good, decent. Camaraderie, uplifting moments. But some specific things, the CGI arms, did you notice that? I didn't.
I didn't
Renner
notice.
CGI arms, so I guess they did better than Cavill. The slow-mo Sherlock scenes with Renner, where he figures out what they're gonna do. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah. That was really good, actually.
Renner and his wife never get any like comeuppance or redemption for being terrible people.
Yeah, they were so horrible.
They were like the worst human beings, and they kind of like at the end they're like,
Hey, let's play tag.
You guys are alright. Like, yeah, they don't, like, it's like basically 10 minutes between, like, when she fakes having a miscarriage and, like, fakes having a pregnancy, and then, like, them being like, you're alright, Renner, even though he was, like, kind of a horrible person, especially his wife. His wife was just the worst.
Yeah.
They do there's some messed up things in this movie that they do. It has a somewhat depressing ending, but also uplifting.
This is
a dying Helms.
the greatest note you've ever written. Dying Helms, somewhat depressing, but a nice ending. But all things considered, I'm happy that it happened.
I don't mean in the sense that Helms is dying. But I mean, it was kind of a nice ending, but it was also kind of depressing how they're running through like a hospital and Helms is hooked up to an IV. But anyway, Rashida Jones is in it, also from The Office. I really like that. We also imagined while we were watching it that this is a prequel to Baby Driver with Buddy's character, which makes it so much better.
I love Ham in this.
Ham is great. And now I want to end on a little bit of a personal story here. Which basically, real quick, we had our graduation, I think the day after we saw this, right?
Yes.
And so at our graduation, I don't know if you do this anywhere else.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, I gotta tell this.
Yeah, you do.
So we write stuff on T-shirts, which
we write like new white T-shirts.
Totally white T-shirts, and you write stuff on them like for all your friends, like good luck in the new year, or whatever. Right? You know, whatever message. It's like what people do with yearbooks, but on a T-shirt for some reason. And so it's a really big mess there. Like they're just like a bunch of T-shirts laid out on the
and you have
thing.
to like read the other messages to like
to figure out whose T-shirt it is. And so we basically. We talk a lot in like references to the shows and movies we watch. That's like a big part of our inside jokes. And so on Freddy's shirt, because we'd just seen Tag, I wrote a reference to Tag. I won't give it. It's a very personal note, but I wrote a nice little message with a Tag reference in it. And then Freddy wanted to do a similar thing, write a little Tag reference.
Should we say what happens in Tag and then?
Okay, so in Tag, what's his name? Renner's wife.
What's his name?
Sorry. She fakes having a miscarriage of a pregnancy that wasn't even real in the end, but she fakes having a miscarriage to get out of Renner out of getting tagged.
It's so late when you talk about it. Later on, a homeless man, Nick from New Girl,
says, quote,
he says, quote, now I'm not saying I want you to have a miscarriage, but if you do, I'd be glad.
Or like you deserve it or something like that.
Something like that, right?
And so Freddie wanted to write that on my T-shirt because that would be, you know, a funny, since I wrote a nice Tag reference, if he writes like the worst insult from the movie on mine, it'd be kind of funny. And then I remember we were standing there and you were writing, you were laughing.
And I was writing in huge letters.
And you looked up at me, you're like, oh, this better be your T-shirt. I looked down, I was like, that's not my T-shirt. And then the look of panic in your eyes, I've never seen anything like that. And it turns out it was this girl in our class who we barely talked to. And you just wrote on her shirt, I hope you have a miscarriage or something. It was the worst moment.
I was considering it signing your name, but then I decided that probably wouldn't have been good.
That would have been so much worse. Oh, it was
And she was
horrible.
standing right next to me. She's like, what are you writing?
And you just, I think you made a heart or something?
Yeah, instead of like crossing it out, because
you wrote it so big.
I wrote it like massive. So I just drew a massive heart around it and filled that in as best I could.
Around it saying, I'm not saying I hope you have a miscarriage. So yeah, that was just a horrible moment.
Dude, that was...
I'll never forget the look in your eyes. It was amazing. Anyway, moving on. So Tag, pretty solid. You watched a movie that I've wanted to watch for a while, but I haven't.
Game Night.
It is with
really,
that Bateman.
Dude, it's got that Bateman, and it's got Winston from New Girl. It's basically about... Do you know what it's about? Mm-hmm. Can I spoil some stuff?
I'd actually rather you don't with this one, because
I think here we go.
I think I will watch
Well, it's got both fun and Bateman. Tragic things. Tragic comedies. And after this movie, Rachel McAdams, by far one of my favorite actresses, right?
Wow.
Wow. Like everyone in the movie, they're pretty great. There's Todd from Breaking Bad.
He's pretty good. He's in everything these days.
He is.
Unlike the actual Matt Damon.
He's in We're Expanding Operations, Barry.
Wait, is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Wait, you for real?
But so it's a good fun time.
It is. It's really good.
Someone gets sucked into an airplane like turbine at one point.
Oh yes,
it's in the trailer.
Yes, I do.
Now on to Incredibles 2. Now, if you note my first note here,
it was Bob Parr, in brackets, incredible.
Now I thought you'd appreciate that.
Oh, I looked up. I don't know why I was looking up the cast. Right, you know what? Dash's name isn't Dash.
It's Dashiell.
It's Dashiell,
What?
I think. Or it might be.
Dashiell Parr. What is that name?
Dashiell Parr.
Dashiell Bob Parr. That's his actual name. That is terrible.
The genuine concern and disappointment in your voice.
It was really, really great. And I was expecting to be very
It was really good.
I was expecting to be really disappointed because, like, you can't go into a movie with this many expectations, like, have it live up to it. And going in, I just kind of lowered my expectations, and I was like, it can't be as good as the first one because, like, I have such an emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
So thinking about it from that perspective, I just really, really enjoyed it. I wasn't underwhelmed at all. I will say, it doesn't make any sense. So not natural. I won't spoil anything for you if you don't want me to.
Don't spoil, like, anything major.
Okay.
Okay, so Bob Parr dies.
So Bob Parr sacrifices himself for Dashiell.
For Dashiell Bob.
This is not a major plot point. It's not a spoiler, but in the movie they don't know for a while that. Okay, spoilers if you don't know anything, but you've seen it by now. For you, I don't think this is like a spoiler or anything. In the movie, they don't know that
It's their son.
They don't know that Jack has powers, which I thought they did by the end of the first film.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But they discover it in the film. You see the trailer where Bob is like, "You have
powers."
Why do we both remember?
He gets shot in the face. Bob had died just then.
Bob gets lasered through the head. But there's great action, great animation, great music, great finale. The characters feel the same, and
how's the villain?
The villain's the weakest point, I think. It's a great design, but there's a reveal involved that's the most, like, obvious thing in the world. Like, it's like, that was the one biggest disappointing thing, is just how obvious the villain reveal was. But overall, the references to the first film I thought were fun and weren't super forced and, like, actually lent itself to the nostalgia. It does slow down a bit in the middle, where Elastigirl's meeting, like, these new superheroes, and that kind of, like, there's a point where it was just, like, I was kind of like, okay, let's pick it up. But then it definitely picks up after that. And there are a lot of really funny moments. There is a terrifying seizure-inducing villain scene. And I am not joking when I say it's literally seizure-inducing. The film has a seizure warning before it. There's a scene where it gave me a headache watching it, because the villain, he controls, like, screens and stuff. And just on its own, without the seizure-inducing part, it's a pretty, like, for little kids, it's a pretty scary scene, which I appreciate, because I think that's a big part of kids' films, is having, like, kind of creepy stuff. Like, we did a whole childhood trauma episode.
Coraline.
Yeah, I think that's a fun thing for kids, growing up with movies, to have that kind of thing.
Just so many nightmares.
Well, yeah, to have that kind of thing to talk about later. So I think it's nice that it gives that. But then he traps Elastigirl in, like, this box and has a fight with her where, like, there are, like, flashing lights everywhere, and it's like, yeah, I can see why it has a seizure warning. My favorite action piece, by far, and this was the one thing in the film that I felt like genuinely stacked up to the first movie, where it gave me that, like, it gave me nostalgia. It was super fun and, like, exciting, and the music kicked in. It's when it's actually doesn't involve Bob or Elastigirl. It's
but Dashiell.
Well, it does, but it's mainly okay, minor spoiler.
Okay.
But there's a part where some people who I won't spoil are attacking, come to kidnap Dash and what's her name, Violet.
Okay.
At the Parr's new house, and Frozone shows up to protect them. And there's an action scene that follows that is just amazing. It's so good. And Frozone gets a lot more to shine in this film, and there's a moment towards the end where something from the first film comes back, and it's so cool. It's look that scene up if you're not going to watch the film, because it is by far my favorite part of the film. So yeah, Incredibles 2, very good. Also, by the way, they have Tony Reidinger, remember from the first film, the guy Violet has a crush on. They have him back in this film for a pretty decently major part. He looks nothing like he did.
Really?
Yeah, which is weird. They just like completely redid the character design.
That's kind of dumb.
That's my least favorite part of the film. So yeah, no,
I love Tony.
Incredibles 2, really, really great. Then, just very quickly, I started watching Ant-Man, the first one, before I was going into Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I couldn't get through it fully. Like, I watched like the first 20 minutes or so, and then it just starts to kind of like
It's not
drag
very
a bit.
good.
Like, yeah, I was, I mean, it's not bad, but it's just like very, it's not something I would want to rewatch, I realized. Like, I was skipping scenes and I was like, oh, why am I even watching this? Like, like it's good, but it's not something I would rewatch. And then I rewatched Thor Ragnarok, which is still, incredibly fun. So that's just that. Now you watched Purge.
Purge! No one understands.
Yeah, Freddie wrote with capital letters for some reason. That's why we did that.
We're not weird.
You watched all three.
Well,
Didn't you talk about this last time?
the second one with your boy, Discount Mang.
Manganello, that is.
Mangionello. Or wolf meat, as we like to call him. That's actually really good. I like that.
The wolf meat.
Can I spoil it for you?
Mm.
Of course. Who do you think I am? Some Purge fan. It's basically a bunch like different storylines or characters that meet up. So Mang, he's going out to avenge his son.
You can't see, but Freddie just looked directly into my soul. Mang.
Am I saying that right? He goes out on Purge night to avenge or get revenge for his son who was killed by some dude, right? And then there's a young couple whose car breaks down and they're trapped outside. And then there's these poor people who have a shop that then there's this thing called Purge insurance like gets raised.
Doesn't Ethan Hawke sell that in the first film?
Purge
insurance?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Purgeurance?
Chokes on pizza. Insurge.
Okay.
Genuine. Pretty good. That's a better name. You outsmarted me. So, and then... Oh, shit, I'm getting that mixed up. That didn't happen, bro. And then, there's this whole, like, government plot to, like, kill all the poor people. That's why they have the Purge, apparently, right?
Oh, isn't that the third one?
It's basically in all of them, right?
Oh, okay.
But, like, it's mostly focused on in the third one.
Mm.
But, so, like, these government agents, it's pretty scary, actually. There's, like, this huge truck that just drives by, right? And then the back of it opens. It's just, like, a guy in a, like, butcher's, not a robe, what do you call that? Like a...
Apron? A butcher's robe.
Standing there with, like, an American cap and sunglasses. He's got, like, a machine gun. He just shoots at people. It's pretty scary. But he just, like, shoots at these, like, these poor people, right? And then Discount Man comes and saves them, and then they're all, like, trapped together.
So it's like Pulp Fiction style. Or the plot lines cross over.
It is, yes.
Purge 2 is better than Pulp Fiction, you heard it here first.
And then Purge 3 is just not very good. I stopped watching halfway through.
What about Purge 4? Did you watch that? The first Purge?
Is that out?
Yeah.
I haven't watched that, no.
Purge 3 you would not recommend?
I would not recommend, but...
But Discount Mang is still in it, right?
He is, but he's a different character kind of now, right?
Now he's just Mang.
Now he's just Discount. Alright. You watched...
Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I've done a whole review on, so I'm not going to go into a lot of it. Basically...
So, follow BHL Huts.
For the record, with these, I do want to say, pretty much we give, like with we just did with Tag and we're going to do with this, we give, like, a very brief, like, overall opinion at the start, like, yeah, pretty good, this part I didn't like, this part I did like, and then most of it is just, like, little specific stuff that, I think is more amusing to talk about in the podcast, because I just feel like that's more fun to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's, like, a bit of a review, and then just, like, kind of... If you're wondering why we don't go into too much depth with, like, the quality and stuff, that's more what I do. Follow BHL Hudson. But here...
Or FDK Gaming.
So, Ant-Man and the Wasp. The first half I thought was very, It was, like, on the first Ant-Man level, if not slightly lower. It was just, like, very...
Take that, Rudd.
It was very just, like, fine. And I feel like a lot of people were like, the first half is pretty great, and then it falls apart in the second half. I couldn't disagree more. I thought the second half was super fun. There's a whole scene in, I think it's San Francisco. There's, what's his name, fake Asian Jim from The Office. There's one point where Jim pranks Dwight by pretending to be hiring an Asian guy and pretending... It's great. Anyway.
You should totally watch The Office, dude.
Anyway, he's great in it. He has some fun banter with Rudd. But yeah, I thought the second half was way better. But overall, a fun, pretty funny time.
Better than the first one?
Yeah, I would say they're approximately on the same level, maybe slightly better. Because the second half in this, I remember thinking like, okay, this I can get behind. This is a lot of fun. Billy Crash is in it. He's awesome.
Don't say it so casually.
He's so great.
Is he?
His character doesn't get a lot to do, but I just really love seeing him.
Is he a bad guy?
He is, yeah. he's the movie has a bit too much going on, but he's one of the bad guys, and he's like this seedy little businessman guy. And I just love seeing my boy Walton Goggins and stuff.
Walton Goggins. Such a horrible, horrible name.
Such a great name. No, I really enjoyed him. Luis is great again. He has another, his stories kind of thing. That's probably the highlight of the comedy in the film. There's another D.H. Douglas. My favorite kind of Douglas. It looks great. It looks really, really good. The end credits scene. Do you mind if I spoil this?
Go for it.
The final end credit scene is just like an ant in the post-snap world, just like drumming on drums. Completely pointless. I mean, I guess some people thought it was funny. I just thought it was kind of pointless. It was fine, but yeah. But I feel like they should put the more prominent or meaningful one at the end of the credits instead of the middle. So
yeah,
because then when you wait for it, it feels more rewarding than the one they put in the middle. Anyway, the one they put in the middle was, and we said spoilers for everything. I should just stick to it. Rudd goes into the quantum realm, which they've discovered can give you magic healing powers or something like that. Again, I don't really remember.
Gets lost.
Well, I don't really remember a lot of all the details. But anyway, he goes into the quantum realm to get some energy or something, and they're all having a good time. They're pranking each other, whatever. And then he goes in, and suddenly, they're supposed to pull him out again, and he can't hear them. And he's like, "Oh, very funny, guys." And he's like, "Guys," and then it shows outside, and then they've all just turned to dust.
Oh,
a very, very cool moment. And one guy next to me just went, "Oh shit," which really ruined it. But it was a really, really effective moment.
So Rudd's stuck in the
quantum realm. What's his name? Douglas turns to dust. The Wasp turns to dust. Douglas's wife, who they spent the whole movie rescuing, turns to dust. Which is why I think this isn't permanent. That just confirms it to me. They wouldn't have spent a whole movie setting up the Wasp. No, it was a very cool moment, and I have a whole video about Avengers 4 theories that I won't get into now. Sorry. Douglas.
Sorry. I just spent so much time on that.
Now, for something, I actually did some reading this summer.
Oh.
Because
your doctor warned you against doing that beach.
I was on the beach a lot this summer, and I was like, you gotta have some beach reading. So, I brought with me that Ready Player One book.
And how is that?
It's very, very good. And I thought, since we saw the movie together, you would enjoy some of these, some of the changes from book to movie that I discovered.
Okay.
So, you remember the movie pretty well, right?
Oh, Thursdays and Tuesdays.
Well, yeah, we did a whole episode on the movie, but I thought the movie was pretty good. It was okay. The book, however, first of all, it's a lot darker than the movie. So,
how so?
Daito, remember Daito?
Is that?
I think he's he's not the 8-year-old.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And again, spoilers. He gets straight up murdered by the bad guys. In the real world, they find him in his building and they throw him off the roof.
Oh my god.
Which is very intense.
While he's sitting in the...
Yeah, while he's playing the game, and they just murder him straight up.
Oh god.
Wade in the book. So at one point he shaves his entire body so he can fit into his suit better, and he's very lonely, and he considers throwing himself off the top of the building, which is pretty... There's some pretty dark moments in this where he's like, if IOI wins, I'm gonna climb up on the roof and jump. And that's the end of the chapter. But yeah, the IOI prison stuff is... it's much darker in the sense that, they're more, I guess, meaner, they're more intense there, than in the movie, but also kind of not as dark, because in the movie, if you remember, they make you, lift bricks or stuff, in the, bad guy prison camp or whatever. In the book, they make you, Wade gets to work in tech support, where he just, kind of has to help people, which is, mildly irritating, but it's not, horrible physical labor, so I guess it's kind of better. H and Artemis start hating him at one point in the book, which I don't really think happens. He just because he's kind of a dick. No T.J. Miller character. He's just not in it at all.
Thank God.
Yeah. The challenge, it's different completely from the book. The challenges are completely different. It's different movies, different games that they do. The racing thing that's not in the book, the shining thing that's not in the book. It's basically none of the challenges are different. H is completely different, design wise. Peg is Peg in the book looks like Santa Claus. But in the movie, it looks like Peg. There's a detailed description, paragraph long, of Wade's thoughts on masturbation, which I feel was heavily missing from the movie. Wade isn't very likable. He's always... I mean, this is also kind of true in the movie, but he's always, bragging about knowing stuff, and I was like, I mean, he's kind of likable towards the end, but at points, I didn't really like that. There's no secret resistance with Artemis in the real world, like they have in the movie, which I thought was one of the weaker parts of the film.
How do they...
them meeting in real life is the last thing that happens. That's how the book ends, by the way.
Oh, so there's no Tuesdays and Thursdays.
No.
So they don't actually win?
They do win, but there's no Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Oh,
they just meet each other afterwards.
What's the point?
Yeah, there's no final test with Halliday where like he's like, you should sign this contract, and Wade's like, no, I won't. He's like, yeah, you're good. Like that doesn't happen, and that was a really stupid moment in the movie. So I'm glad that didn't happen. Yeah, there's no RV finale like in the movie. Remember, H drives them around, and he like can't get the key in the keyhole because like the truck keeps moving.
Yeah,
which was so dumb. No, in the book, Peg saves the day. Peg's like, hey...
Why would anyone let Peg save the day?
Peg's like, hey, this corporation's gonna win if I don't help you. Come stay at my mansion and, like, work with my state-of-the-art tech, and I'll keep you safe so they won't murder you in your sleep. Seren, the bad guy, he gets arrested. He doesn't come to kill Wade like he does in the movie, which also I thought was a really dumb moment where he's like, oh, I'm not gonna kill him because the spirit of love or whatever.
I didn't understand that at all.
That was really dumb. Yeah, the final gate and final battle are somehow more exciting and engaging in the book, like, which is weird because visually it should be more interesting, but in the book I actually found it more compelling.
And how old is the book?
I think it's like 2005 or something, maybe 2010. I don't know.
Well, then a lot of the like references that were in the movie aren't in the book.
Yeah. Also, you know how Peg just gives Wade his that token that saves him in the end, like the extra life.
Yeah, in the butler.
Yeah, in the book that character doesn't exist. In the book, Wade actually earns it. Like he plays this game of Pac-Man or something, and he actually, which is so much better than the movie where Peg's like, hey, you might want this at some point. I mean, some of this does seem like it would be hard to convert to a movie. It has a really sweet ending, much better than Tuesdays and Thursdays. Where
how does it end?
It ends where he meets Artemis for the first time. He's like, and for the first time, like in many years, I didn't feel the urge to log back into the Oasis. And it's like, oh, it's so sweet. You wouldn't even get it. And lastly, yeah, the weakest parts I think there are parts just like the movie where people just list pop culture stuff for like no particular reason. Like there are parts where there is a reason, but it just gets kind of annoying or repetitive. And also, Wade knows way more about pop culture than anyone possibly could. Like, he says so many times in the book, like, I've seen this movie like 40 times, I have every line memorized, but then he's also like listened to every song ever written and knows the albums and their release year. He's watched every TV show possible like dozens of times through, read all the books, played every video game multiple times. It's like...
But unlike you and I...
He doesn't have a life. But yeah, but I think even if you added up, like, all the hours you can be alive for, what, like, how I think he's, like, 18 in the book or something, or 20, I don't think there'd be enough hours to do all the stuff he does. Anyway, it's a really good book, if not slightly more depressing than the film, but I think it's better than the film. So then, you watched...
3 Billboards, and my goodness, is it
great.
Good. It's so awesome. Good. It's all the characters, Woody
has such an emotional moment, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, like...
It has slimy, Screamer guy from X-Men.
Banshee?
Banshee, yeah.
Banshee, yeah. And an exploding car with money in, we're expanding Operations, Barry. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
I like him in that as well. He's pretty good.
Yeah, no, he's a great actor.
And,
Peter
Mr.
Dinklage?
Right. Peter Dinklage is in it.
Mr. Right is probably the best part, but also, what's her name? The main
mom. She's pretty, like, she's a really good actress, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry that we don't remember anyone's name.
But she's kind of a dick to most people.
Frances McDormand, yeah. But no, it's a very interesting character and in that way. And hold on, we just panned on to Dashiell. Yeah, no, it's one of my... I give it a 10 out of 10.
I watched it on the plane on my way to #holidays, right? But #holidays.
Freddie just looked at me and smiled scarily.
I'm scared. Holiday. So yeah, overall just really good. I've got a few more that I need to write down.
Ooh, absolutely. I played a game called Crawl over the summer. Yeah, it's for the Nintendo Switch. It's pretty fun. It's got great music, but it gets a bit repetitive. That's pretty much all I have to say. Then I played some more of that Super Mario Odyssey with my cousin, because whenever, I guess if you listen to the podcast, you'll notice a pattern whenever I go on vacation. I meet my cousin and
you go and hit that Super Mario.
Well, yeah, he has a Nintendo Switch, so we played that, and I played the same levels again that I played last time, but I still had so much fun with it. It's just such a...
But it's not so many difficulties with it.
It's still really bad at it. No, it's just such a fun game. I also played Mario Kart 8 on the Switch with my cousin, which I do want to say, I dominated, because I am a Mario Kart master.
He was destroyed. Vindication.
I am the best at Mario Kart in the entire world. I just want to establish that. With a joystick, not with a...
Last time we played, I do believe Waluigi, played by me, won.
I will say, on the Switch, Mario Kart 8, I don't know if this was just a setting my cousin had enabled and just didn't tell me about, but it's way too easy in the sense that you can't fall off the levels. Yeah, like Rainbow Road, the whole point of that level is that, like, it's so hard because you can fall off the edges, but in Mario Kart 8, or at least maybe if my cousin had something enabled, you can't fall off the edges, which just defeats the whole purpose of it.
Bowling with the rails.
Yeah, you don't want the bumpers. Life doesn't give you bumpers. You know where that's from? That's my heart from boyhood.
I was gonna say that's Fat Amy's boyfriend, but you know.
Don't bring up that bumper. And also, finally, I played a little bit of that Lego Avengers in the 3DS for about...
How was that?
Well...
for about 10 minutes, then I lost. Because I fell off Rainbow Road.
I mean, it was fun, but, like... I don't want to say, like, I've grown out of it, because it sounds terrible, but, like... I mean, it's...
But my god, have you seen these guns?
But, like...
My routine.
But that Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But, you know, it's a kid's game, and it's fun. It's fun because you're playing through the Avengers movies that I know so well. And they're, like, fun, you know, Iron Man suit-ups and Lego kind of stuff. The cutscenes are way too long, you can't skip them, which is annoying. But, yeah, I mean, it's a fun thing. But every time I say, like, oh, it's a good kid's something, I feel bad.
You sound like, so demeaning. Why would anyone ever want to talk to you?
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a fun thing.
Before you say anything, I've been watching, before you blabber, I've been shamefully watching Glee.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Put the pot on hold, please.
Yo, we gotta take a break here.
Technical difficulties. A host is out of order. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm not.
Are you a gleek? That's what they call themselves. That's what you are now. That's your position now.
What do you have to say for yourself? Yeah. So I like the songs there, and I really don't have anything else to say.
I bet you don't.
I'm really ashamed of myself.
Look, I'm sure it's fine. Michael Scott likes Glee. That's Steve Carell in the
No, I know.
I was like, is his lack of reaction because he hates me or because he doesn't know?
Both. I hate you for unrelated reasons.
I don't know. I'm sure it's... we watched one episode in music class that one time. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. Well, good on you.
Well,
yeah. Yeah, you know what you did.
Yeah.
I've been watching that Office as usual on loop forever. But I will say, when I go to America, they have The Office on Netflix, whereas here they only have it on HBO Nordic.
Oh.
Our life is so hard.
Dude, I'm sorry, man.
But in America, I realize on Netflix they have The Office with... That's it, they have The Office. They have, like, extra scenes in it that I don't have... Because I've seen it so many times through that, like, I know the episodes and, like, what happens. So, like, in different episodes, there are scenes that I do not... that, like, aren't on the Danish version for some reason. And they're not, like, big scenes that are that consequential, but just, like, little stuff in the finale.
Helm's marriage and...
like, little stuff... There's a part where Jim... I've always seen this picture of Jim with, like, a gravestone... like hat or like thing on his head from season 3. I was like,
you call it a gemstone or a tombstone, a tuna stone.
But and then I never knew where that was from. So when I was rewatching, I was like, oh, that's where it's from. It's from this little like cold open that wasn't in the Danish version for some reason. And like Beach Day, there are a few extra things. There's a moment where Karen tries Italian on the phone, or like an Italian accent to mock tuna, which is really fun. So yeah,
who would dare mock tuna?
So I just don't know why they removed that from HBO Nordic, but yeah, it's just little stuff, but now I've seen it all. And also deleted scenes on YouTube. I think I have it here. Yeah, for season 3 alone.
6 hours.
There's a 6-hour video of just deleted scenes, which is basically just, it's like not bad, it's just like stuff that they couldn't put in because of time. So it's basically just like watching new Office stuff, which is just amazing for someone like me, a huge fan. So then you watched
I've only watched 2 of the episodes in the second season of 6.
Why not 6 of them?
They're both jokes, bitch. Like the first season of 6 is pretty good. It's about like the whole first season is about them trying to save like their commanding officer, right? And that is your boy Walton Goggins, right?
Yes. I do remember this, I think.
And then it ends like this first season ends with him just getting shot by some civilian, and now the second season picks up, and they're out to find who did it.
Maybe I'll check that out.
It's not the best show. You could do better, Beard.
Well, speaking of soldiers, kind of. 13 hours. I will be honest, I felt a little bad watching it because it's a very serious movie and I kept thinking about Office references.
You kept thinking, tuna!
There's like, in the very first scene, Tuna puts his ring in like a pack of Altoids or something, and in the Office is a prank where Jim has Altoids. Roy is in it. Roy is just one of the guys. Roy is a character from The Office who Jim...
See the guy with the beard?
Yeah.
Who dies?
Well, they all have beards.
Like his close friend?
No. But, yeah, no, and the banker from The Office is, their, like, snivelly commanding officer guy, who's, like, kind of good in the end.
He's also, your boy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff.
I really like him.
They mention, like, the Annex, which is a part of The Office. They say threat level something, and all I could think of was threat level midnight. So I'm sorry, I know this is a very serious real-life movie, and that's why I felt bad about thinking of all these Office references. However, it's pretty good. It has some kind of emotional moments, even if it does have those Michael Bay cliches. It's based on a true story, so it's surprisingly restrained for Michael Bay. There isn't a lot of dumb humor or like really over the top, it feels more mature because I just watched Transformers, so it was definitely more
sounds so sad.
Restrained from Michael Bay.
Transformers, man.
Some super brutal violence in it. At one point people get like cut in half by bullets. That was pretty intense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a good film. It's not amazing or anything, but and Krasinski's great. The whole cast is pretty great. I think the McDonald's scene is the only one where it's kind of got the closest to that Michael Bay dumb humor kind of stuff, where like he calls his wife and she's at a McDonald's drive-thru. And there is some over-the-top stuff, like how you see the photo of one of the guys and his kids like falling next to his body after an explosion or something.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's pretty good. And also, random note, at one point someone calls Krasinski Captain America, and maybe that's a reference to the fact that Krasinski almost was Captain America. You watched some football?
Yeah, I just watched the World Cup.
Oh yeah, that was a
thing that happened.
Yeah.
Did you watch the final?
I watched the final, yeah, which was not as exciting as that one where Brazil lost to Germany.
Oh yeah,
that was like
7-1.
the one time I was like, I'm gonna sit down and watch football, and it was like the most exciting game of football that ever has happened ever. So I was like, I'm gonna go out on a high note. That's the only one I'll ever watch.
Yeah, it was a good final though. I have to say, like
someone did a Fortnite dance.
Yeah, that's true. Antoine Griezmann. Yeah, that was a goal-rich game.
Very well put.
You are a star.
Sorry to bother you.
It's okay.
I'm not gonna. Pretty dabs. Harlem is mine.
Despite what you may have heard, Harlem is in fact mine.
I'm not gonna say a lot about this because I don't want to spoil it for you, because I just want you to watch it, because you just have to experience this. Like,
oh yeah, was it the thing you texted me about where you have to watch this?
And I don't often text Freddie, so this is a good.
It was a rare occasion.
It's just one of the most creative, unpredictable films I've seen in a while. It's just, it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it. It takes so many twists and turns that, like, you have no idea where it's going. Like, the ending of this film, it's so...
Can I have a spice of what happens?
I don't even want to give a spice, because it's the best that you don't know it. Armie Hammer's fantastic.
Who is Armie Hammer again?
He's...
Why not the battalion... wrench. Oh wait, where have I seen him?
Bunch of stuff, but he's not the main guy. The main guy is Lakeith Stanfield. What's his name?
Hey, he's the guy from Get Out.
Yeah, Lakeith Stanfield. He's in it. Tessa Thompson's fantastic. Now everyone's amazing in it. It's so interesting. It just leaves you like thinking about it for days on end.
Okay, is it a comedy, action?
It's a comedy,
drama.
It's a comedy. I didn't think the one thing I would say I didn't like about it was I didn't find it particularly funny. It failed on every level. No, it like everything else about it I thought was, but especially there were some very funny moments, but especially at the start, the jokes kind of like okay, but it's so not like a traditional comedy. Like it's not like a Tag.
That's not traditional.
It's so different.
It's Tag-ditional.
It's so interesting. And also Terry's in it.
Cruise?
Yeah. Scary Terry. No, amazing movie. House. You've been watching House for some reason.
Glee and now House? What's up with you? I haven't actually followed the show. I've just seen like on on YouTube like different scenes from it, like different diseases and stuff. I just thought it was pretty interesting. And I really like Hugh Laurie, who's like such a soothing voice.
Okay,
it's like velvet.
This is getting weird.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I haven't seen the actual show, but the scenes I've seen, I like.
Yeah, no, I've heard but middling things.
It's got like 12 seasons or something.
Jesus, okay, I'm out. I watched A Quiet Place.
Oh, how is that?
You can tell I was on a bit of a Krasinski binge, as I do every day. It was really, really good.
It's a routine.
It's a great premise with a great execution, because like everyone talks about the premise in this, but I think it was also pulled off really, really well. It's very, very tense. Blunt and Krasinski are great, and it is a fantastic premise.
Is she sharp?
It's very interesting. The monsters themselves, or the aliens, I guess,
they're terrifying.
It's a pretty great design, actually, and like they look really good special effects wise for something that had a very like small budget. And again, we said spoilers for everything.
For someone who's as poor as Krasinski.
We said spoilers for everything. Yeah, it genuinely makes you like not want to make any, like I was watching it, like my phone notification went off at one point, and, like kind of freaked me out because I was like
the whole movie's like silent.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, there are parts where, like, Krasinski takes his kid to a waterfall, and then he, like, screams, and his kid's like, what are you doing? He's like, they can't hear us because the waterfall masks it. There are quite a few scenes that would have been more effective without music. Like, there's a scene where they're walking, Krasinski and his son, and they come across this old man whose wife was killed by these aliens, and he's, like, really upset, I guess. And then Krasinski's like, don't, it's the iconic image of, like, Krasinski going, like, shh. And then the old man just, like, screams, and the monster comes. And there's, like, music behind it. Like, there's, like, building horror movie music. And I was like, it'd be so much better if there wasn't, like, just silence in the scene.
Oh.
That
sounds really scary, actually.
It is.
And doesn't Krasinski's kid die? Like,
yeah, the
first one, right?
The first scene in the movie is, Krasinski's, like, baby kid dying, because he has this, like, little rocket toy.
Yeah. The see Krasinski running.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. The birth scene is also the most tense. There's a scene where Emily Blunt. It's in all the trailers and posters where Emily Blunt has to give birth while the monsters are after her, and it's so intense. It's incredible. There are some dumb moments, I will say though. But Blunt's character is like incredibly badass. What?
Maybe don't have sex for the time being, Krasinski.
Well, okay, that's one thing. I feel like I missed something here, because I haven't heard anyone else complain about this, or like say this is kind of like a dumb logic moment, but spoilers kind of not really. We said spoilers for everything, whatever. It's your fault if you get spoiled, it's not mine. I'm so on edge, because I don't want to spoil stuff, but we said it. So the thing is, it opens, the kid dies, right?
Yeah.
And then it cuts to like something like 500 months later, which is like a year and a half, right? Or not 500.
500 months.
Sorry.
That's a lot of months.
It cuts to like...
I don't want to say that's almost 100 years.
I was gonna say 500 days. Because like...
Krasinski's withered corpse.
It's like 500 days later,
okay.
Or something like that. So it's like over a year later, right?
Yeah.
That's how years work, right? And then Emily Blunt is pregnant with Krasinski's child. And I'm just thinking, if you know that she could get pregnant, and you could have to... I mean, I know
it's about the sweet lovin',
but maybe, you know, if you're trying to survive and, like, not put your family in danger, maybe you just shouldn't, you know?
Do the dance with no pants.
Hated the daughter in this. One of their children is just very, very irritating and frustrating to watch. She's, like, 11 or 12.
Don't spoil like the main ending.
But... Okay, then I won't. But yeah, she's deaf, and I just found her character very annoying. I guess maybe she was meant to be, but I don't know. Kids can be annoying in general, so maybe that's realistic. The ending is pretty cool. I won't spoil it, but it's a pretty cool ending. And I have spoiled this for you, but Krasinski does sacrifice himself in this film to save his kids, and I showed you the scene, which is. It's quite emotional and nice, but it's also a little unintentionally funny, because Krasinski just like does this whole like I love you in sign language, whatever, and the monster's about to eat his kids. He goes, and it's a little unintentionally hilarious. But hey, overall great film. About time you watched.
Oh, it's about time I talked about this. It's got your boy Dom. You say Dom Hudson? That's you there. Host not responding. Dom Nahal Gleeson?
Yeah.
Yeah. I fell asleep during this. So I don't really know what happens. I just wanted to say that I fell asleep. But again, Rachel McAdams is in it. She is, yeah. So, do you know what it's about? It's a bit weird. So, Domhnall is this, like, 20-year-old, very fragile and not wimpy, but, like, shy dude, right? And then he goes down to a party, like, it's New Year's Eve. You know how you, like, kiss at New Year's Eve?
I do know, yes.
And this girl turns to him, and then he high-fives her. Classic, we're expanding Operations Barry, right?
Of course.
And then the next morning, he's, like, filled with regret. He's like, oh, my God. He goes downstairs. His dad's like, son, can I talk to you? This is a really dumb part. He goes, now, and it's his birthday. He's like, now, every time a male member of our family turns 21, they get to know the secret. The men in our family can time travel. And then Domhnall goes back and kisses the girl and gets Rachel
Really?
Yeah.
I heard this was really good, but it sounds really bad.
And then I don't know what happens because I fell asleep. Yeah.
Big. Now, do you know what this is?
Is it the one with Jack Black?
No, it is so not.
Oh, that's Gulliver's Travels. Never mind.
That's the worst realization ever. Oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking of Gulliver's Travels, 2010.
I think it's worse that you know what year it came out.
Might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. No, it's an 80s movie where this kid, this little...
Oh, yes. I do know.
It's with Dwayne, isn't it?
No, isn't the one where he goes up to, like, an arcade machine?
Yeah, so this little kid...
It's your boy Hanks?
It's your boy Hanks. He's, like, upset that he's too small to go on this roller coaster with this girl he likes, so he goes up to, like, a machine, and he's like, I wish I was big, and then he wakes up and he's Tom Hanks.
God does punish someone.
Why do bad things always happen to good people?
Why can't the nice guy get the bad girl, or ghost? Oh no, the good girl get the nice guy.
No,
I don't know. I just want a girlfriend.
It's very fun. It's a good time. I don't know if there's anything else to say. I will say, there's a little bit of weird stuff involving the kid in Hanks's body, especially involving women. Like there's a little bit of weird, like it's a 10-year-old kid or 11 or whatever. Like it's a like 11-year-old kid, and then there's some stuff involving different women that's just kind of weird and uncomfortable.
Where women,
well, like this woman
want Hanks.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd just say it.
Sounds like a terrible romantic comedy where women want Hanks.
Oh my god.
Anyway, it's good. It's a good fun time. Jeopardy. I watched that over the summer just with my family. It's like a fun family tradition. You know what Jeopardy is, right?
Yes.
Won't You Be My Neighbor? The
No.
Mr. Rogers documentary.
Please.
The Mr. Rogers documentary. It's
Mr. Who?
Mr. Rogers. We've talked about this.
Is he the rabbit?
Into it. No, that's Roger Rabbit. Mr. Rogers is a kids show host who used to have this show called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, it's one of my favorite things growing up. It's an amazing kid show, and there's like this land of we've talked about it before. The documentary about it is it's very, I hate describing movies as pure because it sounds very pretentious, and
so this was hella clean.
but it's such a, I don't know, like it's such a, all the things I can think of to describe this sound really pretentious, like saying it's such a beautiful film, but it's really, really heartfelt and funny and sad.
And beautiful.
And pure. No, it's an incredible, because he was such an amazing person.
Now, the only Mr. R for me is Mr. Right.
Stop. He's amazing, and it was a beautiful film about his life, and I cried.
Thank God I get interrupted here. Hi, boy.
Frederick's mom is calling again in the middle of my Mr. Rogers discussion.
Yes, it's the recorded pod, you know.
So while Freddie's talking on the phone, I'll just wrap this up. Mr. Rogers, Won't You Be My Neighbor is an amazing film. Check it out.
Og så taler vi lige lidt efter det her, og så tager jeg... Hi. My mom says, F you.
Moving on. Okay, we're gonna speed round these.
Wait, can you, do you have a charger?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, no doubt.
No doubt.
This is devolving into garbage. We're gonna speed round these a bit. I watched Jumanji finally. Welcome to the Jungle, Dwayne.
Oh my god, these things are crazy.
It was so good.
It is.
And by that, I mean, it's pretty good. It's not amazing. It has some really dumb stuff in it, but it's a really fun premise with good execution, great performances from the kids and the real adult ones.
I don't like the girl you say looks like my sister.
Oh yeah, the kid version of what's her name? Karen Gillan's character looks exactly like Freddy's sister.
I don't see it at all.
I've watched it on a plane, and generally I don't like to do that because like when you watch a movie on a plane, for me it just becomes like a plane movie. Like I just remember it like, as a really bad experience.
It's not a car movie. It becomes not my room movie.
It's like you remember just like it's not a pleasant time. But I made an exception here because I was awake enough to watch it and I was comfortable enough, so I had a good time. Holt's husband is in it.
Yeah, as the principal, right?
I don't really like Kevin Hart. He's probably the one I don't like is the adult people. No, Dwayne is great. Jack Black is great. Look,
I really loved. Have you seen like the interview with them afterwards where they like impersonate each other? You should. I'll show you afterwards. It's really good. Okay. Jack Black hits the fattest me.
Has good message for kids. Like you've only got one life, so who are you gonna...
when you have 3?
Yeah, apart from when you're Dwayne and you'd never die. No, it was just like I have all these notes here. I'm not gonna read all of them. It's a very fun, good time with some funny, good moments. Some classic lines like "That is a man right there. Don't cry, don't cry. You just smoldered. Weakness is none."
None.
That's such a good Dwayne.
Thank you.
The one thing that so it's great. I have all these notes, but I'm not gonna read them.
Strength, my weakness.
No, Dwayne is so good. It's fun to see him, playing against type. They're fun action set pieces. It's just, it's a very fun time. I can see why it was so popular. The one thing I do note here is that for some reason, this is so weird to me, on the plane, and I didn't think they did this anymore, where they like edit it down, like cut out like sex scenes and that kind of stuff on plane movies. I didn't think they did this anymore, but here, they cut one line out in particular, and I was so confused because I was like, where is that line? They cut out Jack Black saying, "Oh my god, these things are crazy."
Really? Actually, they did that in like the movies I was watching as well. So he just kisses like the Jonas brother, and then he gets up, and then it just cuts. And I was like, wait a minute, there's supposed to be something there. You watched Edge of Tomorrow. Oh my god, it's so good.
That's my cruise at the end of the film.
It's my Hanks. It's really, really good. Like,
yeah, it's fantastic. Great action, great story. It's super fun.
Yeah,
good time.
Just really good. When did Groundhog Day come out?
Groundhog Day came out like in 1985 or something.
Okay, so that was like the first where
starting the day over.
Yeah.
But now we've gotten to Happy Death Day. I've been watching Game of Thrones, been catching up. It's
me too.
Still season 5. I'm looking forward to watching the rest. Kong Skull Island, I'm not gonna read any of these notes. It's the definition of like a big dumb spectacle to me, because like it has some spectacular effects and fun moments and action scenes and that kind of stuff, and like music, and it's very well. They're not very well. It's interestingly directed. Like something's always happening. It's very hard to get bored in it, I would say. But like character-wise, plot-wise, it's really bad. So yeah, it's a big spectacle, and it's well shot and well edited. But yeah, I think you should check it out. It's pretty fun. But it's nothing amazing. Mission Impossible 5 I rewatched. Very great.
Me too. And the 4th one. Oh, it's both
so good. I will say I forgot about this in Mission Impossible 5. One of my favorite moments is when Cruise gets like resurrected after he's drowned, when he's like buzzed back with the what's it called?
The defibrillator.
Defibrillator, yeah. And then he's like completely out of it when he's driving the car, and Peg is just very confused. So like, remember the part where he jumps over the hood of the car and just falls to the ground? It's really great. And then, okay, let's see. We only have two more big ones, and then we'll like just speed around the news.
Okay.
Mission Impossible 6. Now we both saw this actually.
Oh my god, it is so good.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's one of my favorite films of the year so far. Definitely.
It's my favorite Mission Impossible as well, right?
Really? Even more than Defibrillated Cruise.
I like that one, but this has to take first place.
I mean, overall, it's just great action. It's very fun.
I liked Cavill.
Cavill's amazing. I'm really, spoilers again, I'm really upset that, not really upset, but I'm kind of upset they killed him because I would love to see more of him.
Yeah.
Although I did like the way in which he died. It was
with
great.
The hook. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great homage to old Mission Impossible, how the villains always die in super like brutal ways. Like John Voight getting mashed into a train or whatever happened in the first one. Yeah, the finale I'd say was my biggest takeaway from that. I didn't think the helicopter thing was gonna blow me away as much as it did, but it was
really good.
Incredible. It looks so. The stunts that he does makes a difference that he does them.
Yeah.
Because it looks so real and so amazing. That finale is one of the best action movie finales I've ever seen. That was absolutely amazing.
And I saw Tag.
That finale in that hospital was riveting.
Dude.
The references to the other films, which I kind of liked. You know, Ethan on the elevator. And
his wife comes back and...
Yeah, I thought that was okay. By the way, just quick personal experience. When I saw the film, they started it, and it was in 3D. And the thing is... And it wasn't supposed to be, and so everyone was very confused. But the thing is, I thought maybe it was meant to look really weird because that's the problem. The first scene of the film is like a dream sequence where we see that crew's skeleton getting nuked. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe it's supposed to be completely off, but then it totally wasn't. And so everyone had to like run out. Because I feel like in Denmark, people would have just like sat there and put up with it because Danish people hate interacting with others.
They do.
But in America, everyone just ran out and was like, give us our fucking money back. So they put it on normal. But anyway, they used the broken foot take, which I liked. I appreciated that. You could see it break on the big screen. That was fun. I really loved the Cavill versus Cruz dynamic.
Yeah, and you know the bathroom fight against the...
That was incredible.
That was so good.
It's
the
so...
Cump
dude, the
was
Cump,
so worth it.
The Cump was incredible. I love that. Yeah, it's also becoming a bit of a meme, the whole Henry Cavill reloading his arms thing. So I put out on Twitter, I was like, before this becomes the next big trend, I just want y'all to remember, we made this into a handshake.
This is us.
But no, the bathroom fight, I feel, was so interesting, seeing the 3 very distinct, like, fighting techniques go against each other. And I love how, like, Henry Cavill is just, like, a brick, and Tom Cruise is more, like, trying to be, like, espionage, you know?
You prefer to use a scalpel. Well, I prefer a hammer.
That's a good Angela Bassett.
You know how I do.
There were quite a few scenes where I really didn't like them initially, and then it turned out that, spoilers, that people had masks on.
Yeah.
Like the first scene with where the nukes went off or whatever, I was like, oh, they've kind of jumped the shark a bit, haven't they? And then it turns out it was Simon Pegg in a Wolf Blitzer mask, which is kind of fun.
That was really good.
Yeah, and also with
Cavill is walking in, we had a deal.
Yeah, although I thought that was kind of a weak scene because Cavill just like no normal person ever would. Like, I signed a deal with you because I am the villain of this film. Like, no super spy would ever say anything like that. I thought it was amusing how Baldwin gets like a few punches in on Cavill, even though a punch to Cavill's chest would like break any man's hand, especially Baldwin's. like Tom Cruise can barely hold his own against Cavill, and then somehow Alec Baldwin, who I'm sure is in pretty good shape, but he like gets like 3 or so solid punches in before Cavill just stabs him. And I was like, how is that? Like, Cavill should just break his neck instantly.
Dude,
that would be that fight.
I really love Cavill now. I don't really... He's okay in Superman, right? He's a good Superman, but Superman as a whole, I don't really like. But both in real life and in this, it's just...
He's great.
So good.
No, I love Cavill.
Part of the job. It's my Cavill.
What do you think of the stash?
Oh, the stash was so good as well.
The stash was it was worth it. There was no Renner in this. I found it interesting also how...
like that. I was like, why would there be a Renner?
I found it interesting how 2018... Renner sat out his 2 biggest franchises, Avengers and Mission Impossible, but he did appear in Tag.
It says a lot about Renner.
Yeah, it says a lot about us that we went to see all 3. My favorite line in the film was when Cruise is like, well, we better hope that they've never met each other because we don't have any masks, and Cavill's like, hope is not a strategy, which is so accurate to all the Mission Impossible films, because they're always like, oh, let's just hope that this works out and it'll all be good. And it's like they did the exact same...
debunks the entire universe.
They did the exact same thing in 4, where they're like, we don't have any masks, fingers crossed that they don't know what they look like. They acknowledge a lot of the tropes, which I liked.
Did you like the, what was it, like the widow, what was she called? Like the one who sets up the meeting? With the plutonium?
The blonde woman?
Yeah.
I thought she was okay. I enjoyed how Cruise, much like in The Mummy, gets another, like, incredibly uncomfortable face-sucking kiss in this. Where I feel like, yeah, Cruise doesn't get any, like, romantic kiss moments anymore. He just gets, like, weird, gross, like, intentionally...
Yeah.
I really didn't like the opening scene. I thought that was really dumb, how they lose the plutonium. Like, these super spies have been doing this for 20-plus years, and they kind of just, like... Like, he gets Luther back and they have a little time for some banter. It's like, obviously go back to the plutonium, you idiots. At one point, Luther goes, "My man," which I just reminded me of Momoa, and that just made me smile. No crashing into truck. That from the first trailer.
Oh yeah, what was?
Which is really weird. That's a complete lie, which is just strange to me. But
yeah.
Oh well. By the way, this blows my mind. Tom Cruise is nearly 60 years old, and he's still doing this stuff.
What is he? 56 now?
Yeah, which is crazy. Like,
yeah. Well, he's gonna go on till
he's older than my dad, and my dad could never hang off a helicopter. But isn't that insane that he's still doing this, like, these crazy stunts, and he's, like, almost 60?
They've got, what, like 2 more scheduled?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And, like, there was a whole thing about Idris Elba might be Bond this week, and people were like, well, he might be a bit old, like, he'd be, like, around, 45 or something. It's like, if Tom Cruise can do this when he's 56, Idris Elba can surely do this. There's a bunch of other stuff. In the finale, I do like Ethan's one-liners, where it's devolved from, like, he does, like, puns. Like, in the first one, he's like, red light, green light, and this one, he's just like, you prick, and then he just crashes the helicopter into him. I like that. No, and Ethan also casually just murders some guys in those helicopters by throwing them out the window.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no, great, it's amazing.
Do you say Cavill's face burn given away in trailer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in the third trailer, I thought this was weird, where when I watched it, I paused it, and I was like, that looks kind of like his face is burned off, and then I paused and I was like, oh yeah, they totally just gave that away, that his face, so I knew that his face was going to get totally messed up in the end. Infinity War, moving on. I watched it 2 more times, once it came out on iTunes. It's fantastic. And there are deleted scenes, there's a director's roundtable, which is very, very fascinating.
What is director's roundtable?
It's like a bunch of different MCU directors talking about, how they make the films and what they put into it. It's really, really interesting. The commentary, also, it helped me show that, like, I already kind of knew this, but the directors are very clearly fans of, like, the MCU movies, which is why I'm really confident that Avengers 4 will be satisfying.
Also, who's doing Avengers 4?
The same directors.
Okay.
Also, I love in the commentary, there's a subtle Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. diss in there, where, at one point the big Thanos henchman, one of the Black Order gets his hand cut off by Wong, and then one of the directors jokingly is like, the biggest question people want to know about this film, what happened to that hand? And then one of the others like, well, if you tune into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you'll probably find out. It's like, oh, suck it, Brett Dalton. I haven't watched in a while.
That's probably for the better.
Yeah, no, it's really, really great. Now, finally, Skyscraper. We finally saw the next chapter in the Dwayneology.
The Dwayneology. And
it was really bad. I thought this movie sucked.
It really was not his best.
Okay, look. I enjoyed it because of
Dwayne.
Yeah, because of Dwayne and because of, like, the inside jokes that we have. But, like, if I saw it, because I was considering seeing this alone over the summer, but I was like, nah. If I'd seen it alone, or, like, with my family or whatever, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I only enjoyed it because of the inside jokes that we have about all this. Because otherwise...
Our friendship made it work.
Yeah, exactly. It's the most... To me, this film is if you gave a computer... If you put, like, every action movie ever made into a computer, it would spit out this movie as, like, an amalgamation of all of them. It has all the cliches. It's so by the numbers. It's not terrible, but it's a very nothing movie to me. It's the most generic action film I think I can imagine.
Yeah, and the whole thing with his leg, right?
That didn't play as much of a role as I was...
No.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be more of a... But it only really comes into play, like, 1 or 2 times. I thought that could have been the one thing that could have made this more, stand out.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I've jotted down a few notes here, some moments.
I'm right behind you.
The ending is really dumb, where he gets this, they're in
the Hall of Mirrors.
Yeah, this random Hall of Mirrors, and then the bad guy has his daughter in a very, like, similar hostage situation at the start of the film. If you haven't seen this, by the way, this must be so confusing. Sorry. If you haven't seen it, skip ahead, because I can't be bothered to explain this story. But anyway, at the end... He's approaching the bad guy, and he's like, I have to tell you one thing. I'm right behind you. But the thing is, wouldn't the bad guy hear Dwayne right behind him? Because he only sees him in front of him, but wouldn't he hear his voice?
Oh, that is a good point.
Because they don't establish that, like, the room has surround sound or something, right? Maybe I missed that, but that seemed like a very glaring flaw to that ending. Also, there's a hilarious, big, dramatic moment where, like, the music builds up and it pans onto Dwayne's face like he's gonna say something cool, and he just goes, Maybe, and then he just keeps talking normally. It's like, what was that all for? And then 2 seconds later, he actually does get a big, dramatic moment where he's like, do you have any duct tape? Dwayne...
Oh, Dwayne has some weird duct tape fetish.
Dwayne heals a major wound with duct tape, which is
didn't hit any major organs.
I feel like that's the new. It didn't hit any major organs. The fact that you can just heal. He's like, if you got enough duct tape, and it just kind of quietly rolls it up.
Dwayne, you can't fix it with duct tape. You're not using enough duct tape.
There's a Dwayne on moped, which was just kind of hilarious because Dwayne's like massive body on this tiny little moped. It was adorable. Dwayne isn't arrested at the end somehow, even though he broke so many laws. It rips off everything. Kid with asthma. Plan looks like it's gone wrong, but then it's right. Mission Impossible 4, Die Hard. Even the villain death was I mean, I guess maybe it was intentionally an homage, but it's the classic Die Hard villain death. Action's okay. Dumb moments.
The Hall of Mirrors is, as you write here, BHL, pretty interesting.
The worst thing, the wife saves the day in the end because she turns on... By the way, I really liked the wife in this. I thought she was one of the better parts. She was like... Because she was also a soldier, I believe they said, or something like that. Yeah, no, I really liked her, but the way the day is saved is because Dwayne, at the start, it's like, she was like, fix my phone, please, and he's like...
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
She was like, oh, I should have tried that, and in the end, she's like, what if I turned the building
on and off again? And then Dwayne falls out of the building.
So that was really dumb. Daddy Loves Who happened.
A lot.
He said it at least...
He starts rapping it. Daddy Loves Who? Daddy Loves Who?
Yeah.
Kids disown him.
The kids tell him he's adopted. Dwayne holds a big thing. I don't know why I wrote that as a note.
Dwayne's face when he's holding the bridge.
That's very... Building jump is fine. His friend is the villain. It's incredible. I mean, it's only in the very start, but it's incredibly obvious.
I really hate that guy.
He's in 13 Hours.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he the tall guy?
Yeah. The thing is, though, they cast, like, the man... No offense to this guy. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. But they cast a man with the most punchable villain face in all of Hollywood. It's not on the Rampage level, I'd say. It's not as... Because, okay, I want to establish something here. Rampage is not a good film. It's really...
It is a masterpiece. It is an art form.
It's really, really bad. But it's fun. Like, it's fun because of the inside jokes and also because, like, it's so stupid that it's fun to, like, ironically. Yeah. But this is just... I had fun with it because, you know, we saw it and we were whispering dumb stuff to each other.
Unrelated to the movie.
For the record, when we're in movies, we don't like ruin the movie and like talk loudly and stuff.
Get out a megaphone.
We just whisper occasionally, and usually it's very empty because we see these movies way too late. Anyway,
or they're just really bad movies.
Yeah, no, it's not as fun or funny as Rampage. There's some bad green screen in it. Most of the visual effects are okay, but there was some moments of really bad green screen. Look, I didn't hate it, okay? There are some fun moments. I think it's fine overall. I just think it's very lazily written. But I loved Dwayne, as I write here, Dwayne saves it. Dwayne is so charismatic and fun to watch that I did enjoy that aspect of it. It's also not his usual character.
But still still unlikable.
No, but he's still like unkill. Like the Weekly Planet, we're like, yeah, I feel like he's more vulnerable in this. He's like, no, he's not. He patches up a deadly wound with duct tape.
Oh, and he does a little Mission Impossible, goes out with duct tape instead of those gloves.
It wasn't as good as Mission Impossible. I will say, I want to put my foot down right now. I am sick of people in movies being able to fight Dwayne Johnson who are not Dwayne Johnson sized. Because, okay, Statham, and like I know if you know martial arts, you have an advantage or whatever, but when Jason Statham takes a punch from Dwayne Johnson in the head in like Fast and Furious or whatever, he's dead. He's out. And this one, the punchable villain guy, like he's pretty buff. He's in shape, but he's no Dwayne. Dwayne hits him in the head. He should just go down forever. I'm sick
weird fan fiction you have with Dwayne. If you get hit by Dwayne, you stay the f*** down, okay?
I'm sick of people being able to stand up to Dwayne who are not at
Only
least...
I can do that.
Like maybe, I don't know, who could... Dave Bautista, or like...
Momoa,
maybe, but like, no one else. Yeah, the villain isn't very exceptional or anything. You know exactly what's going to happen in each scene, there are no surprises. As a movie, it's probably better than Rampage, although it's hard to compare because they're very different genres, but I would 1,000,000,000% rather watch Rampage again over this. I mean, it depends on how you're judging films, and obviously we have a bias for Rampage because we had all that build up to it, but I don't know, I had build up for this too, and it was like, it was underwhelming. It wasn't as good, or even as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah. Like, it was just kind of
just a very meh movie, Dwayne.
So look, I had fun with it. I thought it was okay, but I didn't think it was I definitely don't think you have to watch this. Unless you're, like, with friends, then maybe it'll be fun, but otherwise, yeah. Lastly, I just wanted to say, and this is a very small thing, but The Weekly Planet did another episode on Harry Potter, and I know we talk about The Weekly Planet a lot here, because it's, like, my favorite thing ever, but their first episode on the first 2 Harry Potter films is one of my favorites. I've listened to it multiple times, and so this one they did 3 and 4, and I just want to say, it's one of the funniest episodes I've ever listened. It's so good. Like,
Is it?
And also, the reason I loved it, especially, is because I just come back from America, so I was super jet lagged. So I was just lying awake in bed, and I was like, it's the most frustrating feeling, like needing to sleep but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just put it on the Harry Potter episode, and I was just hysterically laughing, which was.
And then I laughed so hard I passed out.
It was perfect. No, but it was so great. So yeah, thank you, Weekly Planet. Now, the news, we are just legit going to just like say it and then speed on. So, and I'm gonna take this out because we don't have time. So first of all, Comic-Con trailers. There was a new trailer for the Titans TV show with Brenton Thwaites, where Brenton Thwaites comes down. Have you seen this?
I have seen this.
And he goes, "Fuck Batman."
I'm pretty sure you sent me that.
I hope I did. You deserve to see that. It looks absolutely horrible. It looks terrible. The other trailers, Fantastic Beasts 2 trailer. Do you see it?
No, I did actually.
Got more Johnny, which I'm sure you liked.
I did like
Johnny.
that
Came out at Comic-Con, and it was real. No, he didn't. He didn't come out of the closet. He came out in like full Grindelwald costume, and it was really awkward. And,
What?
like,
That's awesome of Johnny.
but people, because everyone hates Johnny, because he's probably not a great guy.
Johnny's
And so,
a perfect dude.
he doesn't mean that, everyone who's listening. And so Johnny came out, and like it was clearly supposed to be like the Loki thing, when Tom Hiddleston came out dressed as Loki and like, yelled at people for like an hour or something.
And
It was
hit random people.
it was clearly meant to be that, but it was just kind of weird. No, but the movie itself looks really great. And I will say, even though I'm not a big Johnny fan, the ending of the trailer where he's like, "Do you think Dumbledore will mourn for you?" is very good. I did like that.
Johnny is a fantastic actor.
That is not what I'm saying.
And an even better person in real life.
He does not mean that. Godzilla 2 looks fine.
Oh, I thought you were saying that's like prove your point. Yo, Godzilla 2, that's right. Get debunked, Johnny.
Godzilla 2 looks pretty cool. Shazam, have you seen that trailer?
Oh my god, it looks so bad.
I think it looks kind of fun.
It looks so cartoony.
It looks quite cheap, but I think it looks like a fun time. Also, he does the Fortnite dance, which I'm assuming, I think it's a Fortnite dance, right? The one where he's like, what's it called, the floss? I'm hip with the youth. What?
Genuine Fortnite dance talk. I'm assuming the kids call this one the floss.
Do they? Yeah, I don't know either. That's why I was asking. Okay, he does that. There was
the floss.
There's the Aquaman trailer, which looks much worse than I was expecting, but not terrible though. There was the Glass trailer, which looks okay, pretty good, and Iron Fist season 2 trailer, which looks pretty good.
I haven't seen that either.
The Oscars added popular movie category. Do you see this?
I did not.
So it's new. They made a bunch of changes, but the biggest one was they're adding a popular movie category. So
is that like?
I'm guessing. So here I just wrote down some. People don't really know what it is. Is it the ones that make the most money? Is it the ones that people like the most? People are just assuming they made it because Black Panther is going to win it. Because people were like, you should nominate Black Panther for Best Picture, and so this is kind of like a way out. So I'm guessing the nominees this year will be Infinity War, Mission Impossible 6, Black Panther, maybe Incredibles 2, A Quiet Place probably, maybe Sorry to Bother You, and definitely Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
I put out
Rampage. I feel like we've totally boosted Rampage's popularity.
Absolutely. It would be nowhere without this. I put on Twitter, like, if Rampage doesn't win the popular movie category, I'm boycotting the Oscars, and some people took me seriously, because I guess people don't listen to this podcast, so that was unfortunate. And then
now my Twitter's banned.
And now finally, or penultimately, the Venom trailer. Do you see this? The third one.
I think so, yes.
Where he goes, "I'm gonna bite off your legs and arms, then you'll roll down the street like a turd in the wind."
Maybe I didn't see
Which is
this.
the worst thing.
I've definitely seen...
Have you ever heard that expression? Like a turd in the wind. It's so weird.
Did you say this in the Venom voice?
Oh, you have no idea. Let me show you this. It's so bad.
Maybe I might have seen it. I like that.
look, I think the design looks great. The Venom suit looks great. But the movie looks really, really bad.
It'll be disappointing, I think.
Like
a turd in the wind.
It looks like it could be potentially the next Mummy, where it's trying to launch this new cinematic universe and it's just gonna flop. And they're making it PG-13 instead of R. I don't know. I think it looks really bad.
You're just a bad guy.
Tom Hardy's accent also in it. I don't really know what he's going for, but that'll probably be better in the movie itself.
Why would we do that?
The final fight looks just like a CGI mess. I don't know. Hopefully, I hope to be surprised. So now, finally for the news, we're going to talk about probably the biggest news from this summer in like terms of comic book movie stuff, which is the whole James Gunn situation. Now you don't know what like happened.
I don't think so. You might have told me in passing, but I'm not sure.
I think I mentioned it to you, but basically, the actual situation, and the thing is, I considered making a video on this because it was such a big like controversial topic, and it still is, but I feel like it lends itself more to this kind of conversation kind of thing.
Yeah.
But basically what happened is, first of all, it's a very like controversial and divisive situation. James Gunn is very active on Twitter, and he's very anti-Trump on Twitter.
James Gunn, is he the director
Oh yeah, sorry.
You expect me to know this kind of thing.
I forget you know nothing about movies. James Gunn is the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, I think I heard something about this.
Wrote them, and he was going to do Guardians 3 as well. So on Twitter, he's very, very anti-Trump. And then to like get back at him, to try to like, because he's so, anti-Trump, this alt-right guy who is like a terrible person. And I'm not just saying that because of the situation. Like, he has said some horrible, horrible things. Like, worse than what James Gunn said.
And this guy is also anti-Trump, or
no,
he's anti-gun.
He's anti-gun. He's very for Trump. And so he dug up these old tweets from James Gunn that were very, very like offensive jokes about pedophilia and rape and that kind of thing. That Gunn made about 10 years ago. And he actually, I think around the time the first Guardians film came out, he actually talked about it and he apologized for it. Okay. And then Gunn issued an apology and like an explanation for the situation, and then Disney fired him from Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then I think that was like July, like middle of July, and now it's like almost the end of August, and people are still talking about how like there's just been such a huge backlash against it, and now all the Guardians cast released a big statement saying they support him, they hope he's brought back. Dave Bautista in particular has been very, very active on Twitter saying like Disney is enabling fascists, and if they don't use James Gunn's script, he's just leaving the franchise entirely. And then the latest development basically has been, it was Disney who made the choice because they own Marvel. Yeah. They made the choice to fire James Gunn, and it was kind of like, and for the record, this is, partly factual, like this happened, but also this part is like somewhat rumored, so take this with maybe a grain of salt, but what people are saying is that Disney were the ones, like, they made a snap decision, like, we should fire him for, like, a PR.
So, like, meaning that they made the alt-right guy, did they make him dig up the tweets? Or
No. He did it on his own, and then they didn't want to, but they saw, like, oh, we don't want to have this, like, PR nightmare on our hands.
And then they just...
We don't want to deal with this, so, like, we should do it, look like we don't want to have any part in this. And then there was a really big backlash, and... Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel, is apparently not happy about it. Obviously, a lot of fans and the Guardians cast are not happy about it. But Disney doesn't want to, like... Because if they rehire him, which, like, hashtag rehire James Gunn has been, like, trending for not trending, but, like,
then
it's been a
there's
big thing.
No backbone.
Yeah, well, then they think... Yeah, I imagine, and this is also what I imagine, then Disney just looks like if the, like, fans, like, are passionate enough about something, then they'll have to do it. Like, they'll have to cave in. So, I understand it from that perspective, I guess, but that's just like kind of, we'll get more into the personal aspect of it after what we think, but basically what's happening is people are saying that they're going to keep the script for Guardians 3 that he wrote, and they might want to bring him back for another MCU film.
But not Guardians 3.
Yeah, because they realized they kind of messed up, and now other studios are very, very actively trying to get James Gunn, because he's a great filmmaker and great writer.
What other stuff has he done apart from Guardians?
He did a movie, Slither, which is like a horror movie, I think. I haven't seen it. And he did this like really, I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen the full thing. It's this movie called Super with actually Dwight from The Office as the main guy. And I believe Ellie, what's her name? The girl from X-Men and Juno. Ellen Page. her. Anyway, it's like about Rainn Wilson. He's like a demented Dwight. He's like a demented superhero who like hits people in the head with a crowbar or something. So yeah, no, it's apparently it's super messed up. I've only seen a few scenes from it, but anyway, so my thoughts on the situation, and you can comment with, because you're just hearing about this now, so whatever you think of it. But I definitely don't think they should have fired him, and I think they should have brought him back. And I'm not saying like they can't, like they're totally in their right to fire him. Like any employee of a company, you can fire them. You know? But I just think it was a poor decision because, I mean, like Dave Bautista said, it's kind of like showing. It's kind of funny how they don't want to show like off the fanboys say enough, then we'll cave into them. But then also this alt-right guy digs us up and like, all right, we'll cave to that. And it's also, I think it's a shame because just for the MCU, he's much more a part of these movies than like a lot of the directors are. Like he seems like he's part of like the the family, quote unquote, of like the cast. Like he's always in the pictures with them and stuff. Like you don't see, I don't know,
Whedon.
Like like some MCU directors, I feel like they've gotten that more and more now. But he was like the first one that I remember where like he seems like he's part of the cast really. He's like a character in the films behind the camera. And also, I think it's kind of funny that, well, the thing is, he already, the main point is, some people call him, like, and this is stupid, this isn't a lot of people, but some people are, like, saying he's an actual pedophile, which is ridiculous. He made
it's just
jokes.
getting out of hand now.
Yeah, there were jokes. There's no evidence that he's an actual pedophile.
And the fact that he already apologized.
That's what blows my mind. Yeah, Disney already knew about this when they hired him.
Yeah,
and
so
now
just because some guy digs it up again.
Yeah, it seems like they didn't want to deal with like this kind of PR thing, which ironically is now like spiraled into something much worse for them because everyone's like, you totally shouldn't have done that. Not everyone. There are some people who think they should have. It's a very big debate. But yeah, the thing is, it was 10 years ago and they were jokes, and that's really the main thing for me, is that I firmly believe that like people can change and evolve, especially over 10 years, and especially from a bad sense of humor. Like if you murder someone or do something terrible, then yeah, 10 years
may not be enough.
Yeah, change, it's not like a black and white situation. Change does vary from the thing. And when it's just a shitty sense of humor, I think you can definitely change from that and grow from that and realize, hey, that's not funny. And the thing is, yeah, the Guardians films and a lot of the MCU movies are about redemption and like starting over and getting a second chance, like from doing bad stuff. Like, and also people brought up Robert Downey Jr. That was a whole big thing where, do you know the story about Robert Downey Jr.?
About his like drug problems and stuff?
Yeah, like in the 90s he went to jail for all these things, and it's really stupid. I saw some comments and like tweets saying that kind of thing, or Instagram posts where it's like, how dare you say that about Robert, you're trying to get Robert Downey Jr. fired too, or whatever. It's like, obviously no. The point is being made that he changed. Like obviously he changed and he redeemed himself, and like that, I think Robert Downey Jr.'s story is like one of the most amazing like redemption and change stories. He's clearly grown past that, and so I think James Gunn definitely can grow past just a dumb sense of humor. Also, just on the MCU films again, and I feel like this is not the big point. The big point is that like he should be allowed to. He has grown and changed, but like just on the movie wise, like the Guardians films, the MCU would not be what it is today without the Guardians films, especially the first one. Like it shaped the cosmic side and gave us Thor Ragnarok in a way, and yeah, I think it's a tremendous loss to the MCU. On a more personal side, which I feel like this podcast is kind of a part of, but not really. But like, and I think you can kind of agree. Like in the past, I've made a lot of dumb jokes. Like,
well, yeah, that's most of your jokes.
Yeah, but like really, like I'm sure this isn't true for every teenager, but like a lot of teenagers, especially where we are, like at a point you just think like because something is offensive, it's funny, like inherently. Like the more offensive it is, the more funny it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not meaning anything bad by it.
I at least have been in that phase for a bit where it's just like just trying to be, edgy and kind of that thing. And that, I mean, I guess that sort of bleeds into the podcast a little bit, but I feel like it's not really. There are a few, and I noted down a few things that I've said on the podcast that I feel like wouldn't be the best reflection from like a year ago. And I feel like I was kind of in that mindset of like, teen, wanna be edgy, like, whatever's kind of like taboo is funny. Like
now he's gone into goth.
now I'm way more mature. But yeah, obviously, like I'm 16. Obviously, I have so much more to learn and grow. And if you want to say that my opinion is invalid because I'm 16 and I don't know anything, that's fine. You can believe that.
I don't agree with you, but
I am a genius. No, but I feel like even in that small time span, like a year or so since I was in that kind of comedy mindset, I feel like I have already changed a bit and realized like, hey, that isn't funny, and it's not just funny because it's inherently offensive. And like people will say he was 40, he should have known better, and I, having never been 40 myself, I can't like speak to that. But
are you sure?
But I still think like if you can change, especially from a sense of humor, you can change over 10 years. Like,
no, definitely.
That's a long to realize that, hey, because the jokes are they're not funny, but they are clearly jokes. They're just like trying really hard to be offensive and edgy just to be funny. And like some people can pull that off. Like I've seen stand-up comedians do that kind of thing, but it's just like when it kind of falls flat, then it just seems so much worse. And I feel like that's
but yeah, even then, it's still a joke, and it might be like a horrible and dark sense of humor, but still.
On the podcast, and these are nowhere near like the kind of things James Gunn has said, but like I listened back to a few episodes recently, and at one point we referred to James Corden as carpool fuckface. And even more recently, in the last episode, we call Javier Bardem fish face, which like isn't bad, I think, and I do it because it's a running joke from the Weekly Planet that was really funny. But I realized like, hey, maybe that's kind of mean. But like in the Rampage episode, and these aren't like bad, James Gunn level things. These are just like things.
These are just bad jokes.
Yeah, these are just things that like I feel like if they were played to like my entire family or school, I would be very embarrassed. Like in the Rampage episode,
Dwayne gets
we could have said like George wants Dwayne to get the girl, but instead we phrased it George wants to see Dwayne get some and it's just like, and look, obviously we're gonna keep making kind of immature jokes, and like if you're just like completely like it'd be boring if we didn't make kind of.
If we weren't edgy, you wouldn't like this as much.
But yeah, that's the point. My point is, bottom line, partly because of personal experience, and again, I'm young and like I'm still growing and learning, but partly because of that, I've realized that you can, especially out of a dumb sense of humor and like thinking that edgy is super funny, you can grow out of that. And by the way, I'm not saying the podcast was like, I mean like off the like in school and that kind of stuff where you crack those really stupid jokes and like like some of the stuff that I said a year ago, if someone said that to me now, I want to punch them in the face. Like I look back at some of my old text messages and I'm like, oh god,
that is.
Why would I say that? That's so not funny.
Dwayne gets some takes a random girl.
That's my ultimate pickup line. So yeah, I think James Gunn shouldn't have been fired. I hope he has some, I guess, comeback from this because, and it's, again, not because, like, I believe people shouldn't be held accountable or whatever. It's I feel like people are treating it very black and white. It's very much a case-by-case basis where it's not like you can say, like, oh, he did a bad thing, he should be fired. You have to look at it specifically. Yeah. When was it? What was said? In what context was it said? What has he said about it? And like the thing is, everyone is saying like, oh, he can't change, he hasn't changed. They're all like these, people on Twitter, and then the people who are saying he has changed are the people who actually know him in real life, like his brother and the cast and everyone. So I believe he has. I believe you can. Yeah. All evidence points to it, and I think it's a really dumb, bad situation.
But I keep getting back to the fact that he already apologized for all this.
Yeah,
stuff.
And the thing is, that wasn't like a major.
It wasn't like, a major kind of like a thing, right?
A footnote in like every article or like every time like I don't know, someone talks about it, they're always like at the end like, oh yeah, and he already apologized. Like that, to me, that's a very big thing. Like it was in 2013 or something where he was like, yeah, I said this a long time ago. I had a different sense of humor then, and it was really stupid and dumb. And like I look at people like Philip DeFranco, for example. He like used to make terrible, like offensive, like just trying super hard to be funny by being offensive kind of content, and like. Shane Dawson, who I don't watch anymore, but I used to when I was younger. He used to, and he's apologized for that. And like all these examples, in sense of humor wise, I think very specifically, you can change, and here it seems like he has. And I think it's a bad situation, and it was I feel like it was a knee-jerk reaction from Disney, and I agree pretty much with everything Dave Bautista said. So yeah, that's our little information, factual part of it, and then also a more personal side of it. So yeah, and I realize some people are coming here from because I think I'm gonna link this on my channel. So yeah, those are our thoughts. I know it's a very controversial situation, but that's just our take.
Yeah, we thought we should talk about it.
Yeah, it was I've wanted to talk about it for a while, so I feel like we finally got the chance here. All right, so moving on. Now, finally, and I think this may be the longest pod ever, which will be good because it's the last. More on that later. Finally, for some announcements. Now, I just want to say announcements in quotation. I mean, it's like bonus things. Over the summer, I've been collecting all of this over the summer, and I definitely missed something. Something has definitely slipped through the cracks here, because a lot of times I was like, all right, I'll put that in the pod later, and then I remembered later on, I was like, oh, what have I forgotten to put in? So I probably forgot to put something in, so I'm really sorry about that. It's been a while, so if I forgot your thing, and you sent it, feel free to send it again if you didn't get included.
You just want those DMs popping.
So, first of all, GC Curtis 14 sent this on Instagram, this beautiful fan art, which includes the Poorly Planned Podcast. Our news isn't new. I'm not that invested.
Oh, we got Gad Thwaites, Tom Cruise, George. Oh, we haven't done the Tom Cruise.
Ugh, whatever. Mission Impossible 6 counts as the Tom Cruise. Krasinsk, Hubert, your boy Bob, and Cavill. Beautiful. Thank you very much, G. G. Curtis. Sorry, not GC Curtis. We'll get
Liam's
to GC.
somewhat insulting video on the.
I told you about this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this I love. Liam sent to the email bhlsandvids@gmail.com this video that I really appreciate it, but I also love the vaguely kind of insulting nature of it, where it's like BHL and FDK started as nobodies. BHL lacked comedy, FDK lacked everything else. I love it. It's so like okay, let's just watch this. They started out nobodies.
Captain America.
Oh, no. I hate it.
Oh. Before it comes out, I want to go over some of my predictions.
Why?
Welcome to BHL Hudson, and these are Captain America, the Winter Soldier predictions.
Even though the channels,
they were both missing something. For BHL, it was comedy. For FDK, it was everything else. Then one day they joined forces and the pod was born. Welcome to the first episode of the Poorly Planned Podcast. I am your host, I guess, Benedict. You probably know me better as BHL or BHL Hudson. And joining me today on this very momentous occasion is Frederick. Probably shouldn't say your full name on the internet. Frederick, introduce yourself, please.
Hello, internet and fans. Oh my god, so awkward. So, Jesus
Christ. What was that? I don't know. So I love that. Thank you, Liam. That was. I don't know if he meant it to be kind of insulting. If you didn't, don't worry about it. No, that was great. Thank you. Kieran Bennett sent this picture on Twitter, which is just you on the Who guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. Digimon Hansu or something. Sorry, I mispronounce it every time. So that's great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kieran. Ivar Snorri. I feel like I always mispronounce that, but he sent, is it just me or does Freddy look like this guy from...
It's Ivar Snorri.
Sorry.
I don't know.
This guy from Simon and Garfunkel. I'm assuming Garfunkel or Simon. I can't remember. But anyway,
it looks like a Garfunkel then.
So yeah, this is you on his body. I can see it. Although you are significantly...
more handsome.
I was gonna say less. GC Green sent... GC Green has sent a few things over the summer. If you don't release the full footage of you singing the Phineas and Ferb theme song, which you teased us with in the first pre-recorded pod, I'm unsubscribing. We heard you start. We know you can finish. So I feel like that's a challenge. That
are you gonna live up to that now? All right. Oh, GC, thank you.
Are we not doing this together?
I don't know how to sing it. You do. Oh, god damn it. Am I gonna have to do this as well? You ready? 3, 2, 1. There's a hunt.
You looked at me with such a look of absolute hatred.
3, 2, 1. He clicked away, GC.
Sorry, GC, we can't do this. It's against our code. Maybe one day.
Power to the people. Stick it to the man.
I'm not much of a singing man. Then GC also said, and this was a little bit different, but I genuinely thought this was great. I just finished making a favorite film montage, and I was wondering if you could check it out. It did take a while, and I took a lot of inspiration from your favorite movie montage, so I thought you'd like it. It's great. It's really good. Oh, we're gonna get copyrighted. But anyway, that's really, I leave a link in the description of that because, you know, clearly a lot of work went into it, and it's really, really good. So good job, GC. Also, he sent.
Also, for more GC,
we should have a segment, GC News. Scrolling through my old videos from last year and found a video from the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert that I went to last February. Had the amazing realization that I've been in the same room as Eddie No-Nose. And then I believe I responded, formerly Eddie the Nose.
That's probably the most appropriate response you could make.
So that's, and there was another, oh god. There was another thing about folding laundry he sent. I didn't put that in, I should have. Anyway, GC, thank you for all that. That's great. You should really be on Twitter more often, by the way, so you can respond.
I don't think I have Twitter on my new phone.
Really? People at you and all these things, so.
Do they?
Check it out.
Alright,
the couples retreat, we'll talk about it next time. I don't have enough energy. But these couples retreat Baby Driver videos, I'm really glad people enjoyed them. Really glad they cracked the 100 views. Even though they're an unlisted playlist in 10 parts, they still made it. I'm very proud. It was absolutely a nightmare, and I think we may never do a Ben and Fred watch ever again because of it.
Yeah.
But
what happened?
I don't want to talk about it, but I uploaded at least 20 versions of Couples Retreat Ben and Fred watch. One was flipped, one was cropped, one like the screen.
Oh, I thought it was like upside down.
One was literally black and one had Jason Bateman just in the corner of the screen. Like just a PNG image of Jason Bateman, hoping that would fool them. It didn't. So anyway, nightmare. I hated it. It's the worst. We may never do it again. Anyway, I'm glad people enjoyed those. Also, I feel like I'm gonna get really grouchy right now because I'm very tired and sweaty. But as I was, but I put up my Avengers 4 predictions video, and at the start, I very clearly said, spoiler alert for Avengers: Infinity War and Ant-Man and the Wasp and the entire MCU. And then like 3 people commented. Sorry, I shouldn't be this mad. I'm tired. 3 people.
So basically, BHL is quitting YouTube for a more, perhaps, joyous path. He's taking to origami, and he's quite talented for this.
I was like, 3 people were like, dude, you can't just burst out with that Ant-Man and the Wasp spoiler yet. I haven't seen it yet. It's like, I didn't. I put so much work into that video, and then you just...
I'm sorry, BHL. Do you need a massage?
Anyway, it's fine. Whatever, who cares? This other stuff, I thought I was gonna have more time to talk about this. Llamas Eat Fruit America thing on Twitter. Oh yeah, I'll play this now. Llamas Eat Fruit made a thing of me singing Star Spangled Man, for my Q&A. It's great. It's very good. I'll put that now. 8-Bit Ben made, a best of Pod 24 video. I'll show you that. It's very good.
Okay.
Best and worst movies on Instagram made this nice little fan art, which I'm afraid is not going to be in this because I lost it somehow. I'm really sorry. Best and worst movies. I don't know how it happened. I can't find it. But it was really nice. Thank you very much. Anna Hollander, I thought you would enjoy this, commented on the Pod 2027 nostalgia thing, which I just thought was kind of fun. It was really fun to listen to because I can relate to so many of these, especially How to Train Your Dragon, which I still love to this day, and also Amigo. See, someone else watches Amigo, I told you.
No one
Little
watches
Einsteins,
Amigo.
Pippi Longstocking, Merlin, Charlie and Chocolate Factory, Arthur and the Mini Moys. I guess that is what they called, or was that what we called them? I think
we called them Arthur.
I also feel like I've watched every Barbie movie up until 2010 at least 10 times each. It was all I did as a child. And I've read almost all the Tintin comics. They're great. And I know exactly which scene Frederick was talking about from the Findus movie. I was terrified of that one as well.
Yes, Anna!
So I thought you would enjoy that.
Thank you.
Callum Kyle commented on the Baby Driver Ben and Fred watch. By the way, all the comments in the Ben and Fred watches were great, by the way. I really enjoyed that. But one of the comments that stood out, great video, but all I can think about is how do you know the legend that is Macaulay Culkin? Now... when we say we know him, that is an incredible exaggeration because we do not remotely.
Well, we had a friend. There's a girl in our
class
whose sister is married to Macaulay Culkin's brother.
Who's, if you don't know him, Kieran Culkin. He is in Scott Pilgrim. He's Scott's gay best friend. So
we're pretty much celebrities.
We're kind of best friends with Macaulay Culkin. Also, Joshua Gibbs commented on the same.
Joshua Gibbs?
He made the same joke last time, and I don't think he appreciated it.
Joshua Gibbs will stop commenting.
Flea is the bassist for Red Hot Chili Peppers, not the drummer, so you screwed up.
What? No, Flea is the drummer.
Other than that 10 out of 10 podcast, thank you. But
Really?
You were wrong, apparently. I have no idea.
Well, then,
yeah.
then John has been lying to me.
Whole rant about how airports are the worst, but I feel like we don't have time for that. Actually, I do. 1 second. Brussels airport, okay? Who puts a fucking piano in the middle of an airport? Multiple. For random people to just come up and, like, hammer on the entire... You know, what I don't want to hear in the airport is you try and attempt to play the piano.
It was heartbreaking.
When I'm, like, after a 7-hour flight and I want to just die and I'm waiting for 2 hours for my next flight, I don't want to hear you attempting to play the piano for the first time. Whose idea was that? You should fire them. I'm really sorry. I'm really tired right now.
Dude,
and I'm
you know who works at Brussels Airport? Joshua Gibbs.
So yeah, anyway, there's a commercial in America where the Vulture's in it from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, just like you'd enjoy
Where he
that.
plays the vulture?
No,
or?
he's at a wedding or something. He's always devolving into me just being a grumpy old man. I'm sorry. They've added Biospill to American cinemas. Thought you'd find that interesting. We're done. We're done. We're done with this. This has been way too long. Okay, so thank you very much for listening. This has been fun comeback.
This has been a good comeback.
We'll hopefully have a pod out.
We'll
have a pod out later on. We'll talk about the future of the pod later on because that's still a little up in the air. But hey, we'll talk about that later. Hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, BHL Hudson, YouTube, BHL Hudson, email, bhlhudsonvids@gmail.com.
You can find me, let's do this slowly, on YouTube at FDK Gaming. You can find me on Twitter at FDK_DaltSniper. And you can find me on Instagram at FDalgard.
Very true.
Very true.
All right, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time. This is a very abrupt ending, but I'm sorry.
Wow.